Band Yap is proudly sponsored by Troubadour Consultants. When it comes to planning group travel for your fine arts program, look no further than Troubadour Consultants. Whether you're organizing a major out-of-state trip or need top-notch accommodations for the state marching contest, John Mize and his team are ready to create a custom travel experience that meets your band's unique needs. As a family-owned, band director-run company, Troubadour understands exactly what it takes to make your trip stress-free and seamless. Plus, when you book a trip with Troubadour, they will sponsor a $500 college scholarship for a student in your band. Directors who book will also receive a free Mollard baton as a special thank you. Visit troubadourconsultants.com today to start planning your next trip with the experts who truly get it.
It's filler.
Nougat should not be the main character.
Yeah,
it's an NPC at best.
Yeah.
NPC
At best.
energy.
Yes.
There's only one, and I can't clone myself as much as I would like to.
No, I've heard. No, sir. There are at least 3 of you, sir.
Hello and welcome back to Band Yap. My name is Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
And we have a master here today. We have Mr. Jake Heck. Hi, Jake.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
We're great.
Yeah. We just finished up, Easter weekend. Did you find all the eggs, Jake?
I found 0 eggs. I was invited to multiple egg gatherings, and I was politely declined on all of them. So the eggs are for the other peoples.
Egg gatherings. I love that term. That's so open-ended.
Oh, man, I got a little heated over at Easter because my nephew called them confetti eggs. And I was like,
it's just a descriptive name.
They are not confetti eggs. They are cascarones.
Okay, but that's your blonde-headed, blue-eyed nephew.
But it doesn't matter. On the package, it says cascarones.
If you're in Texas, it's a cascarone. I'm an Okie, and I know that.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You know where that originated from?
You've told me this before. I don't.
Yeah, the cascarones is actually like in a Chinese tradition, I believe, because what they would do, they'd fill them up with like perfumes and they would smash them on people.
Random trivia.
Yeah, I'm full of just fun facts like that. Sorry for those people who, I just have weird things that I remember.
There's going to be cascarone truthers that are.
I know. We're going to have to fact check that first.
I know they were filled with like. Well, we did this for our kids, and I don't know if a lot of people still do this, but like we put like dollar bills into some of the eggs. So when they find them, they like have dollar bills, and that's like great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They've received their weight in candy. So
I would agree with that.
A few non-candy items are nice, such as dollar bills, which they'll ask to buy more candy with, I'm sure.
The snack station. Gas stations are called snack stations around our house.
Well, the gas part of it's called the gas station. The not gas part of it is called the snack station.
Yes.
It's 2 different entities in their minds.
All right, we're gonna detour back, get back to the real thing at hand. So, Jake, can you tell us a little bit about your background, education, teaching experiences, things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually not a Texan, so don't hold that against me. I'm an Okie. I came up at a small town in Oklahoma called Washington, and it was a little 2-way school, graduate with about 56 kids. And there was only one director, and that director changed frequently. I think I had 3 and 4 years in high school, but fortunately I got a good teacher for my first 4, so I had a good solid base before he took another job. But I made the small school all-state band in Oklahoma and decided that might be what I wanted to do. So I went to Southwestern Oklahoma State University up in Weatherford, Oklahoma, not Weatherford, Texans. I double majored in ed and performance for a bachelor's, and then went to Oklahoma City University for my master's degree. And right around that time is when they were doing the teacher walkouts in Oklahoma. And I was like, if they can't afford to pay teachers like in general, then they are for sure not going to be able to fund the fine arts in Oklahoma. So I decided to dip my toe in the water to see how it was. So I went to Childress High School in the Panhandle, about 30 minutes from the Oklahoma border. And, just kind of see what it's like in Texas, see, what it's like. And then after that was 11 years ago, and I've never taught in Oklahoma since. So that tells you what you need to know.
Well, Oklahoma really doesn't have trees, so
Depends on the part of Oklahoma.
we're gonna try it real hard. I mean, like getting all the way to Stillwater is like awful.
I've never been to Stillwater. I wouldn't know.
I mean, Stillwater's fine, but like between Norman to Stillwater, it is just like, what are we doing? I mean, it's bad when they start measuring towns by like elevation and not population.
Yeah.
Because I believe Washington has a population of 656 people.
How do you know that?
Because I went on to the Wikipedia and
Wow.
I looked up
Wow.
Washington, Oklahoma.
That is some research.
Yeah, I believe they're Washington Warriors.
The Warriors. Can't hide that warrior pride.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked it up. It's a nice little school. It looks like they built it not too long ago.
They were not good when I was there. Like I remember my senior year, we went to a marching contest and we cheered and like screamed because we didn't get last. But now they're amazing. They have several all-staters every year. The jazz band just finished playing at like the governor's mansion or something. They won state marching in Oklahoma. So I was there at the wrong time, I guess.
Wow, good for them though.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Correct.
So, okay, so you made your way into Texas and you're at Childress. So, what can you tell us about your experience at Childress?
So, Childress is a very, very small place. It's a 3A school, but it's about 6,000 people. And it is probably one of the more isolated places that you can be in Texas. It's 106 miles from Amarillo and then 107 to Wichita Falls. So you're exactly in the dead center of nothing. So if you want to go to a mall, you're driving 2 hours. If you want to go bowling, you're driving at least an hour to go see a movie. It's pretty desolate in some ways, but because of that, the people there are just like salt of the earth. Everyone like comes together. Everyone is working together. Like you'll see random posts that are like, "Hey, is anyone going to Amarillo today and can run by Walmart? I need this." Like it's kind of old settler kind of. Everyone goes out of their way to help each other, and they're just it's very collaborative in that way.
Did anyone die from dysentery?
This is not the Oregon Trail, Jose.
There was no one there named Terry, so
ain't got nobody to diss.
Yeah, no dysentery in Childress, America. The guy I was teaching with was also an Oklahoman, so none of us really kind of knew what we were doing in the Texas vein. So our first marching competition, we kind of just strung together some stand tunes, and we didn't really know the way Texas does it, and we figured it out as we went along. The marching band thing never really happened for us. I think our best scores were threes, but we got the concert bands going pretty good. My coworker Rob Frick, shout out Rob Frick, he got the high school band making ones and concert and sight reading every year. And my first year was bad. I got a 2.34 and a 3.34, but no one really no one really told me what I was doing. So I decided that my little 7th grade group needed to do Phantom Ship, and it was not good. And thankfully, I had someone sit me down my first year and say, "Hey, dude, just program the bare minimum and get your ones and start building some confidence." So, the next year I did Dance Celebration and Cortland County Festival, Majestic March, and we got our ones. So I was awfully proud of that group.
I'll tell you what. Don't sleep on Dance Celebration. Like Dance Celebration, yeah, it's been on
It
that.
can be tough.
It can be really tough. There's that one bump, beat up, beat.
Depending on your instrumentation, it can be really isolated. Depending on like how many kids you have, like in your band and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, you gotta have some clarinets to play that piece.
Everyone always plays the 8th notes too long. Beat-da, da, da.
It's an artistic choice.
Dee-da. It's like, stop it. No wonder the tempo's slowing down.
It's a dance celebration.
I know. Come on.
Not a trudge. That's very avant-garde of you. That's like that would be like a comment on the sheet. Very avant-garde dance scene. Celebration, not so much.
It's a slow dance. It's okay. But yeah, being in Childress for those 3 years, it being as isolated as it was, I think I really got to focus in on trying to be a better director because I didn't really have much of a social life and we were so far from everything. I went to go play in the Town and Gown Community Band in Canyon, West Texas A&M, every Monday, 4 hour round trip. But we're
Oh
like,
my
we got to get out of this town and we have to go perform, or we're gonna like lose our minds. So sometimes Rob would drive and sometimes I would drive, but we every Monday night all the way out there. And Dr. Garner's just a gem. So I so enjoyed getting to be a part of his band and be under his baton. I learned a lot from that. So we called it professional development. We took a school vehicle every week. So sorry, Childress.
Okay. Yeah. All right. There you go. You took a school vehicle. That's the win right there. So, like, what was the longest football game that you ever traveled to?
um, I don't know. It was 2.5 hours. I don't guess it was too much longer than people around here. Just because, in the panhandle, there's only so far you can go before you're in Colorado or New Mexico or Oklahoma.
So you're at Childress, and then you come to a point where you decide to leave. And where do you head to after that?
Well, I had kind of made the decision that if I stayed in Childress, I was just going to get older and fatter and more single. So I had to get closer to a an actual city. So my friend Kyle McDonald reached out to me. He was at Childress before I was, but then he went to Panhandle High School, and Panhandle was really successful. State marching, the whole bit. And he's like, "Hey, I think you'd be perfect for this position. I think you'd really enjoy it. There's great kids here. There's great support." So, and I went out there and interviewed, and they gave me the job, fortunately. So I decided to move on to greener pastures in Panhandle, Texas, about 45 minutes from Amarillo, the Panthers. And sure enough, I mean, we get to Panhandle, and everything is really good. I taught with Nick Stevenson, and he was also brand new when he got there. So again, both schools that we got two new directors both times. Kyle and Jacob left us with some really, really great kids. So we got to go to state marching my 1 year there, and we got to go to state marching finals my 1 year there. So that was a really neat experience. That was my first and only time to get to go as a director.
So, like, walking into those type of situations where like it was both new directors, like, how did y'all go about like establishing culture or expectation and things like that?
The kids were already there. I mean, they were hungry for it. They made state the previous cycle, and they really wanted to get back and really wanted to get into finals. It's a band town. They've had a lot of success there over the years. Eric Rath, Jason Jones. So it's actually a really, really big band town, and the boosters were just amazing. Like, stuff would just get done without us even asking for it, and sometimes without us even knowing about it, which is a huge benefit. So the culture was kind of ready made, like for just two people to come in and work. We didn't have to do a ton in that regard. We had to win them over, and that takes some doing for sure. Because when their two previous directors who they love left, there's a lot of mistrust. But we just kind of put our head down and went to work, and we got it done, thankfully.
So, who has the bigger appetite, you or Nick Stevenson?
Oh man, that's I'd say probably a tie. Yeah, we every now and then we get a teacher. We'd take our off period and go to Sonic or go to Subway. And man, that guy can, and I can eat too, but that guy can eat as well. So we put it away.
Did y'all ever go down to Amarillo to do the steak
The Big
challenge? The
Texan.
Big Texan.
We never did the Big Texan. I've never done the challenge. I'm willing to bet that I could fare pretty well, but that would probably not be good for my heart. So no.
Yeah, well, like I'm a big dude. I like food. Like, I just ate a what did you make for dinner? A baked potato with
Pulled pork, baked
pulled pork.
potatoes.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me really concerned about my like heart health, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So you're at Panhandle, and then you decide to move on again, and you end up in where at?
So, before I get to that, the reason that I had left Childress was to try and get closer to a city, for two reasons. it was time to settle down and find myself a wife. And I also wanted some more performance opportunities. So I took the leap and found myself in Panhandle. And within 6 months, I had met my woman, who is now my wife, Morgan. And then I also had found some playing opportunities at different churches, and I got to play with the Amarillo Opera. So I kind of accomplished both of my goals by going to do that. But on our very first date, my wife said, in the Texas Roadhouse in Amarillo, she said, "Well, I'm moving down to South Texas in 6 months, so get on board or don't." Okay, let's see how this works.
How did y'all meet? Did y'all like just have mutual friends, or did you do the app thing?
I wish I had a meet cute for us, but we were Plenty of Fish, which I think is now defunct. But Plenty of Fish is a dating website or
I
app
feel like
or what
somebody
have you.
else told us they used Plenty of Fish. I don't remember who it
I
was.
don't know. Like
She was Feisty Fiddler 20. So she's a violinist. So I was like, Feisty Fiddler, that's like my kind of gal.
That's what got him.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. I just like. I guess we met before that boom happened.
Right before, because if
Yeah.
we hadn't had met, you probably would have been all over the apps.
No, I don't know if I would have been. I don't think I would have been. I just like,
You would have been.
I don't know. That's just, I don't know if that's my scene.
You say that.
I mean, you're right. You're right. I just didn't have to worry about it, and I think that's the biggest thing. I can't think about it.
You would have been swiping all the time. Left, right, left, right.
Just swiping.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you met your future wife, and she kind of gives you the lowdown, just like boom, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, she's like, here it is. She
And
put it all out there.
You said, "Yes, ma'am."
Well, she was in residency, so she'd already been, out of school for a long time. And I had my master's and been teaching for 4 years. So when you're 28, 29, you kind of know what you want, which makes things a little easier and also truncates the process. Like we were engaged within 5 months because we're like, yeah, this is it. This is what we want. So it was pretty quick. And that not necessarily just because it needed to be, but also just because we're, perfect for each other.
Well, that's a plus. I mean, you're right. When you kind of know is when you know. I think I've told this story before, but like I remember sitting in the Robinson like lunch area, like when I was there, and I go, I think I'm done dating. And like the staff was like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, I think I'm done dating. I think I'm gonna ask Alexa to marry me." And they're like, "That's great." I was just like, I just knew. Just that's what it was going to be because I just didn't want. I was done.
Well, we had dated for a year and probably a half before you came to that.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, though.
I only want to do this once.
Yeah.
that's it. I only want to do this once.
Well,
so,
I told my wife. I told my wife that after our date, I deleted the dating app, like after the date. So that was a good sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign.
That is very
Isn't
good
that
sign.
like, well, you wouldn't know, but that's like Hinge, the dating app. I think that's their marketing thing is like you can delete it after you use it because you'll have found success.
Yeah. Is Hinge still a thing?
I think so. I don't know. I mean, I don't use it. So, yeah.
It's Bumble.
Yeah. Bumble's a big one, I think.
Yeah.
I was never a Hinge person.
Yeah. I guess people still use like Tinder. That was like the OG like phone app, I guess.
That's like also not for dating though. That's like for naughtiness.
Well,
right?
yes. You can use it for dating.
He said for naughty.
I don't know. I've known people that have like met their husband on Tinder.
Yeah, that might have been a different era though.
Maybe, I guess so.
I
I guess so. I'm living like 10 years ago. So
what was we had a kid. Okay, sidetrack. So you remember when all those websites like started popping up with like very specific demographics like pointed to them? Like
no,
farmers,
be more specific.
Farmers only.
Oh, okay, yes.
Did you ever hear about that one?
Oh yeah.
So farmers only. We had a kid who was in junior high roll up and tell us like, "Hey, I got a hit off of farmersonly.com." I was like, and this is like
he's like 12.
And this is like one of my first weeks working at Gatesville, and he's a junior high kid, and he's all like, yeah, farmersonly.com is the place to be. I'm like, dude.
In Gatesville, it might be.
Yeah, I was just like, this is a lot to process in a very short amount of time. So your wife is the breadwinner of the relationship.
Hey, don't.
Hey,
This is.
I have zero shame in saying that. She, I don't want to say sugar mama, but she does make significantly more than I do.
Well, we have several
Sugar
friends
mama.
who are like that. Specific, actually, percussionists.
Yeah. Not me.
No, not you. Because we're poor. But like, have you ever heard the name Michael Crawford?
I think, yeah, I've heard that name before.
Okay, he's a great guy, but he's a
professor at UNT.
But his wife
Oh,
has
okay.
been rated like the #1 doctor in Denton. So like, he like it was like, why do you have to work, man? You're working for fun at that point in time. You know, just because you love it. I mean, we do our job because we love it, but like that's like true. Like, hey, I just love the job.
And to impart the love of music onto the
Yes.
next generation.
Of course.
It's not
That's
all
why we all
about
do
money.
this.
Yeah.
Well, like he taught the Baylor drum line. And
When I was there,
yeah. What did he used to tell y'all when y'all used to get heated?
He would like, just to like really ground the situation. If we would be, upset or whatever, he'd be like, "Yeah, my wife, she saves people and makes life or death decisions in the emergency room, and we're just here playing drums. So just remember that."
Like, what are you upset about? Well, they're an eighth note off.
Yeah.
Hey, man, my wife just did CPR.
The
on
taps
somebody.
aren't in time. That was usually what it was.
I can remember that when I was in Panhandle, Morgan was supposed to come to my spring concert, and then I get a text that's like, "Hey, I can't come. I'm delivering a baby." And that was like, that really adds some kind of levity to the situation. Like, "Hey, I can't come to your concert. I'm bringing life into the world. Like, good luck."
What kind of physician is she?
She's family med, but when
Okay.
she was in residency, she had to do all of it, so it was her rotation. Yeah.
That's cool.
Man, what a like way to trump things. They're like, I have an important, stressful thing coming up. I just did this and saved somebody's life.
Right.
Like,
Probably also like you're not like planning to do that day normally.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're doing, I guess. But
I mean,
just
think
a
about
sprinkle of excitement.
how like stressed you are at like UIL concert and sight reading or just like a contest like that, and you're like stressed out, and then like you're expecting your support system to be there, and then they're like, hey, I have to bounce because I have open heart surgery or something like
Yeah.
that. I have to save somebody's leg.
Yeah,
today.
really.
Like
brain surgery.
Yeah, way to make you feel real. Like what are you supposed to do? Be mad?
No, they're doing great work in the world.
Yes.
I just hope that one day, I don't know what I'm going to do to achieve this. Hopefully the podcast, really takes off, but I hope you refer to me as your sugar mama one day.
Yeah, well, we'll see about
I really got to hit the ground on that one.
So y'all moved to South Texas. Well, actually, where does South Texas really begin? Where do you think South Texas really begins, Jake?
I think anything south of I-10 can be considered South Texas. I mean, some people say it's like down below Victoria toward the valley, but I think in my experience, it's anything south of San Antonio, Houston, because I mean the Panhandle people call that South Texas because they don't really know what's going on down here.
Yeah, everything South Texas.
I was going to say San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio down's kind of where the South Texas is, but like I've had this discussion with a few people, but there's South Texas and then there's the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a completely
those are two different things,
and people don't realize that. They're like, "What do you mean that's different?" I go, "You if you've never really experienced the Valley,
which I've never been,
like it's a different animal, completely. Like it is, like the accent changes.
It's just a culturally different place."
Like from San Antonio, the coastal bend area down into, I think really Kingsville's the mouth, and Falfurrias were the first border check
of the valley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Falfurrias has like a big border check. I think that's one of the spots. But like the accent starts to change and the feel starts to change. The trees start to change. It's the whole entire thing. Oh,
sorry.
So you make your way down to South Texas and you land at Yoakum?
Yeah, we moved to Victoria, but I was teaching in Yoakum at the time with Jennifer Vogus.
Yeah, and
So
she did some great work there.
yeah, she'd been there I think for I don't know, close to a decade prior to when I got there, if not more. But she was the assistant first, then became the head director. But she's fantastic teacher. I'd say she more than anyone else has impacted what I do in my teaching in the 3 years that I was with her.
Wow. And so what led you to do what you do now?
Well, the time commitment of being a competitive marching band person and just kind of the time commitment of being in a competitive program in general. It got to the point that we were doing multiple nights a week of rehearsals and then nights in the concession stand, then football game Fridays, playoff or then contests on Saturdays, 6:30 a.m. every morning. And I was like, this is a lot. And my wife's like, you work more than I am, and I'm an MD. So, with us looking at hopefully starting a family in the not too distant future, we were kind of thinking one of us is going to have to be working less in the future for this to work. And unfortunately, it can't really be her. So, I kind of thought that going to the private school side of things might lead to a better work life balance.
And not only do you work for a private school, but you work for two private schools.
Well, I will preface that by saying I started off with just the one. I was at Sacred Heart first for a year, and I was just part time. And honestly, that was very nice. I just did the afternoons, so in the mornings I could plan, make my copies, do what I needed to do. And the inventory situation was so poor there that most mornings I spent driving to Houston or Austin or San Antonio to pick up a random instrument I found on Facebook Marketplace for the program because where we live is a very unique place in that you have access to Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and Corpus. So if you look on Marketplace, odds are you're going to find what you need to for not very much. And there's some other cool benefits too. I mean, if there's a concert that comes into Texas, I mean, odds are they're going to stop at least one of those places, or even flying. Like if you don't like the prices you see at Houston, check the Austin airport, check the San Antonio airport, because we're about 90 minutes from each one.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's close to my neck of the woods. I have a lot of family in Victoria, and like that's where like the coastal bend South Texas thing starts to happen. And like I know exactly where you teach, and I know like the distance, and it's like crazy because like Victoria has the University of Houston Victoria campus. And so like my family would always go to Houston, and then like it was I didn't realize how close Austin was, or San Antonio really, because like we always just ran out to Houston and that was the end of the story. So that's pretty interesting. So can you tell us about like how you ended up at both private schools, and like, and let's band directors or anyone listening like wrap your head around this. Like we work at one school with one administration with one set of kids and like one set of seventh graders and one set of eighth graders and just like one set of expectations. And Jake is being demented and taking on two sets of administrations, two sets of expectations, two sets of
Two
everything.
communities
Yeah. I
too.
mean, like, and as far as I know, both these communities are like rather competitive. One I know is extremely competitive. And so like how did you end up at Shiner, because you were at Sacred Heart first?
Yeah. So I started at Sacred Heart. I guess that would have been this is my fourth year there. So after the first year, things had gone well. I was able to acquire a bunch of uniform stuff. We put together a an actual uniform and went to field band competition for the first time for taps, and everyone was fired up about that. We played a good concert sight reading program. We did lots for solo and ensemble, and we came out second in the state. My first year there, which took some doing considering where they were when I got there, because it was a little rough. I had some kids like that would hide in the bass drum cases instead of play their instruments. Like it was a little bit of a disaster. But I kind of got things going in the right direction, and I got a call from Zach Sims, friend of the pod, Zach Sims. And he said, "Hey, I put your name in the ear of the principal over at Shiner Catholic." She said, "Hey, I need a band director. Who do I hire? You know everybody." And he said, "Jacob Heck." Like, full stop, call that guy, get him there. So I get a call from her and a voicemail that said, "Hey, would you have any interest in coming to do this?" And I was like, it's going to take a real pitch to get me there, because that sounds insane to do two programs at the same time. And I came over and I interviewed, and she kind of pitched it to me. There has been precedence of this before, though. Um, Bill Harrison did it for 3 years, and then Alex Martinez has also done it as well. So I'm not the first. Um, and I won't toot my own horn too much, but I think I might be the most successful at it so far, just because I've been at both places for 3 years now. But she, I don't know, on my tour, she took me through the Yonok Music Center, which is our band hall. It's probably the nicest building on campus. She said, "We'll give you what you need to be successful, and then beyond that, we'll get out of your way and let you do your thing." And I was like, "But how is this going to work as far as the logistics? I mean," and she said, "Okay, well, what do you have over there?" I said, "Beginning band, fifth grade, um, intermediate group of sixth and seventh, high school 8 through 12, three classes." She's like, "We'll do the same here. Three classes here, three classes there." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, we can make that work." I was like, "What about football games?" And she said, "Just do our home games only. We won't travel out of town to away games. Whatever else you want to work out with the Sacred Heart people, I mean, that's between you and them, but we only expect home games only." It's like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then I looked at the TAPS contest schedules. There's 2 days for concert and sight reading, so I could take one group one day, one group the other. The solo and ensemble, there's three. There's Houston, Austin, and San Antonio, and they're on 3 different days. So I could take groups on 2 different days. The only thing that I ever have to do that involves them at the same time is field band when they go into their marching competition, and it's a stressful day. But if I can do one day a year that's stressful, like with both groups, then I think that's probably a win compared to competitive marching band side of things when you're all the before school and after school and weekend stuff. I think that that's a fair trade. So I signed my contract and went for it.
So okay, so let's hop into this because I know about the tap system, and not everyone does. So when you talk about taps, can you explain like how the tap system works? So like during marching band, let's just talk about that for a second.
Okay. So the TAPS is the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools. So it's not necessarily just Catholic schools or even just religious schools. It can be any like charter school or any kind of private school can be a member of TAPS, to the best of my knowledge. So when you go to TAPS marching band, they call it Fall Band Championships. So it's all encompassing. You can go as a drum line, or you can go as a field band, or you can go as a marching band. Um, Due to the nature of the schedules at a tiny school with 78 kids in high school, there's a 0% chance that I would be able to have after school or before school rehearsals. I don't think that marching band is something that we're going to be able to do, at least now, and maybe I'm not sure about the future or not. But so what we entered in is called field band. So we did a halftime show. I march my kids out in a block and have them do about face, and we just play from a block. We play a full halftime show. We just do Luke shows. We just do like a regular halftime show, but you can be as creative or as uncreative as you want to be. There's one guy who would go do like a pirate show, and they would have these ladders that they would put up in the stands and have their band dressed up in pirate outfits, and they would send the pirates up in the stands and start taking the gold from the people in the audience. Like, it's over the top. And there's no specific thing of what you're supposed to do for field band. So some people will take their jazz band out on the field and just play. Some people will send a rock band and just do Metallica songs. There's really no direction for field band. They say whatever you do at your football games, you do here, and we judge it.
I've judged that contest.
I've seen it before,
It
too.
is like it's cool because you honestly have no clue what's gonna happen.
Everything's so
next.
different.
Yes.
And it's not really predictable. So it's just like, it's very creative.
Yes, very much so. And like actually that pirate show, I was I was adjudicated for that one. So I was like, "What is
Did they come
happening?"
take your gold?
No, they came and took my pencils.
Oh,
I was
Luckily, I
told
that's
they were
had
I
funny.
was told they
yeah.
were audience plants with the gold, supposedly. That's what I was told.
Well, taking a judge's pencils, that's kind of smart.
So,
Yeah.
what the other cool thing is the drumline side of that, because I've seen and I've heard some groups that are like the Scottish like fife style like drum lines. So it has that element to it, and like I've never seen that element being in public education, and like it showed up, and I was like, that's really cool and interesting because that's a different style and that's a different cultural thing that like we normally don't get to see.
Yeah. And there will be some groups like for medium ensemble later on. There's some mariachi groups, and they do have those opportunities available. They kind of just give you the chance to make it your own. We entered drumline one year, and I realized that there are a lot of private schools in Texas that don't have band programs. They have drumline programs, so those kids can play, as well as a lot of the public schools do, if not better. So if drums is the only thing you have to teach, and you get to teach it all day, every day, then those groups are very good. And so I think we got a 3 on our drumline performance. So I was like, yeah, I think we're not going to do that one again.
So during the fall, so you do not have any before school or after school things, practices.
We get done what we get done in class, and that's all I can expect.
Okay. So Christmas concerts, how do you do Christmas concerts?
Um, I will normally try and put them on the same week, just to kind of get everything all done at once. I know it's more stressful that way, but I'd rather have 1 week of stress than have to go out across multiple weeks. Um, Sacred Heart does theirs in their gym, and Shiner does it in their gym. Sometimes I will use the same program, at least parts of it for the different groups, depending on the year. Some groups, maybe the high school band is better at one than the other, or the intermediate group. But I try and recycle as much as I can, just so I'm not teaching twice as many pieces. Although sometimes it is really interesting, and I can play through twice as much music and kind of make myself more aware of other pieces that are out there that way.
So for people who don't know, is that there is an actual Taps Music Championship, yes?
Correct. So there's 3 aspects to the TAPS overall band championship. The first one is fall band. So if you get a 1 on your marching band performance, you get 100 points. If you get a 1 on your field band performance, you get 50. Or if you get 1 on your drum line, you get 35. So some groups will send a field band and a drum line to try and get 85 points. The other aspect is solo and ensemble, and we use the same PML as all the public schools. If you get a 1 on a class 3 solo, you get 3 points. Class 1 on a 2 on a class 2 solo, it is a 5 points. And then if you get a 1 on a class 1 solo, it's 10. So 3, 5, 10. And then for ensembles, it is the same thing. Class 3s are 10, class 2s are 18, class 1s are 34. And then the last aspect of it is the large band championships, which could include jazz band or medium ensemble, but also concert and sight reading. That's kind of the big point getter for that one. And the large ensemble is the most interesting one because you get to do 3 pieces, but it's not 2 PML pieces and a march. It's only 1. So you can do 1 PML piece, a march, and then the third piece is director's choice. So it doesn't have to be from the PML or from anything like that. I always try and do 2 PML pieces anyway, just because I want to try to submit for OPS. The trick, though, is that you're not graded necessarily on the program. Um, you are graded on the cleanliness of it, but you are graded on the level of it. So if your hardest piece is a grade 1 and you get a 1 on it, you get 100 points. If you do a grade 2, then it's a 125, grade 3, 150, grade 4, 175, grade 5, 200. So it actually benefits you to play a harder piece of music than to play an easier one. You get more points by doing a harder one. So I've spent the last couple of years kind of listening through a lot of the PML to kind of find not the cheat pieces, but the ones that are more accessible for a group of my size and ability level. So this year we did Salvation is Created, which is a grade 4, but it's on the more accessible side of grade 4s if you can play it well. So we decided to do that one. And then we also did La Madre de los Gatos. So we did a 4 and a 3. Even though we only required to do one PML piece, I did a 4 and a 3. And we were able to get a 1 on it. So we got 175 points. We got a 1 in sight reading, so that's 50. And then also, if you get a 1 on both, you get 25 points for the state sweepstakes. So they tabulate all the points at the end of the year, and whichever school in 2A has the most points gets to be the 2A overall state band championship.
And you are the current reigning 2A state champion, correct?
Shiner Catholic is.
Okay. What? No.
If I'm being honest, I'm the 3-time reigning state
There we
champion
go.
between the 3 schools.
So, and like the sizing of those schools is also very different than what we hear in the public sector.
Yeah, so I think at Sacred Heart we have like 98-ish. It's under 100 because they don't want us to go to the next tier, but I think at Shiner Catholic we only have like 78 or 79 kids in the whole 9th through 12th grade. So even though we're a 2A for TAPS, we're considered 1A for public school, like for ATSSB. So even though we're a 2A state champs, I'm going to enter OPS as a 1A.
Of the kids that you have enrolled in the school, at each school, about how many do you have in like 9 through 12 band?
About half of the Shiner Catholic kiddos. I think there's 78 in the 9th through 12th grade overall, and I think I've got like 38 of them, maybe 37. I've lost a couple. So probably half. But also at both schools, band is required in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So they can't, get mad and quit on you after a year. And they also, since they're going through 8th grade, they get the experience of playing in the high school band before they make their decision of if they're going to continue or not, which it can be a benefit, but it can also be a curse in some ways, because if you're required to do something for 4 years in a row, human nature is going to be like, oh, well, let's see what else is available. What else can I try and do? So I lose some kids that way for that reason. Sacred Heart is less. I think I have 23 in 9th through 12th graders in my high school band. And I think there's maybe 80. Oh, no, I said 98, something like that. So about 20%.
I mean, as far as percentages, that's pretty good percentages.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. Like it's such an interesting like situation because that's something that the public sector doesn't realize is happening. And then like hearing about like, hey, you're at 2 different schools and doing this, and I mean that's a true testament to how like organized you are and how like I'm thinking about what I have to do with my kids, and I'm just going like, if I had to do this with 2 schools with 2 calendars and 2 like football schedules and all that kind of stuff, it would be absolutely nuts. So you go to football games, you just don't go to the way football games.
So here's the trick of it. And this is where things get a little bit dicey. Shiner Catholic only wants me to play the home games, which is fine. I'm good doing that. But Sacred Heart kind of insists that the band be there for every game, whether I'm there or not. So on the games that I'm not with Shiner, I'm with Sacred Heart. But then on the weeks that I'm with Shiner, I'm also making 2 itineraries. I'm dealing with 2 sets of trailer drivers. I'm dealing with 2 bus drivers. I'm dealing with also in the private school side of things for Catholic schools, we have what is called safe environment sponsors. So you have to have 1 parent on the bus for every 10 students. So if I'm taking 40 kids out of town, I have to have a minimum of 4 parents going with us, and they have to pass this. They have to go through this course of safe environment training, I guess for safety for the kids and also safety for the staff as well. But even on games that I'm not going to, they're still sending the band, and they just say the drum major and then the adult sponsor are kind of in charge, which gives me great pause. I can't imagine as parents if you would send your kids on a bus with a drum major and then a couple of parent sponsors who don't really know anything about it, 2 hours to God knows where, and just kind of hope for the best.
Yeah. So like the parents are okay with this though.
Yeah, and most of the time, the parents are at the games anyway. They'll either transport them both ways, or they'll just take them home after the game is over. Um, Attendance can be an issue, particularly on the games that I'm not there for. I think when I'm not there at the games, I think the kids think that they can get away with stuff like skipping out on the games, and they're high school kids. They're gonna look for any reason to get out of playing at a game. So every Friday, I just get emails coming in. Oh, my kid's got this. My kid's got that. Well, sorry.
I'm just like, we still got a game. Oh,
Well, some people still
yeah.
have a game.
It's nice to know that it's not that much different in the private sector as it is the public sector.
Well, especially when you think about the eighth grade kids who it's a requirement for them to be in the class and then they're required to go to the games. And then the parents are like, listen, I didn't, my kid's required to do this, but it's a after school weekend obligation. Like you're going to require them to come for the class. They're not required to come after school for their other classes. I was like, yeah, that is splitting hairs a little bit because if they're in ninth through 12th grade, they signed up for the class, they're choosing to be there. But eighth grade, they're required to take it because there's no other elective. So that's where it gets a little bit like, yeah, I kind of see the parent's point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when that trip comes up, you know what? Who the first people to sign up for that trip are? You know how
Yeah, they
that
got zero
rolls.
problem with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was on the weekend. I'm sorry they didn't show up to enough football games. Oh, that'd be my policy. Yeah. Like, whoa, you didn't show up to all those football games.
I
So
when I first started doing that, that was like my biggest bugaboo. I was like, I've got a good drum major and I have people who go to drum major camp and I have a leadership team and stuff, but even still, that's not the same thing as having an adult band director in charge of the kids. Because the sponsors, I mean, they're trained as sponsors, but they don't necessarily have to be a faculty member. So I that's one of the biggest things that like still stresses me out about the job because I think the potential is there risk management wise for something to go wrong, and luckily nothing has yet. So just I guess I'm gonna have to knock on wood.
man, that gives me like, yeah, I mean, that gives me a little anxiety. Just,
Well, if your administration insists on it,
yeah.
then
I mean, you can't really argue
yeah.
with that. So, Jake, why band?
Band is great. Music is the universal language, and we can communicate that with across any culture, ethnicity. We can speak the same language as someone on the other side of the globe for us, and we get to have these cool instruments in our hands doing it. And nothing is cooler than that.
So, okay, so what made you join band?
I came up in a church background. Although I'm not Catholic, I came up in a church, and I remember watching them playing drums at church and thinking it was the coolest thing in the world. So as soon as I got the chance to join band in fifth grade, I was like not going to be stopped. I was going to play percussion. So I joined that way, and I was just really really into it, like more than all my friends, and it was my number one thing, and there was no chance that I was going to be deterred by it. I was gonna do it regardless.
So, kind of looking at your career, you've specialized in small school. So, what has made small school special to you?
um, I think small school, particularly in my situation now, is I am the fifth through 12th grade band director. So there's kids that I start in fifth grade who are now gonna be ninth graders next year, and to kind of see the progression of them being like literal like tiny children, like they just are picking up their instruments for the first time, to watch them all the way through to get to graduate high school. That's something that not even all the ATSSB schools get to do. There's even in 3A 4A land, there's people who are junior high directors and high school directors, but being a 5th through 12th grade director, I get to see the whole process and I get to take some responsibility for it too, and I think that's pretty special.
How do you share kids at both these campuses?
Yeah, I like I said, there's not a ton of stuff happening outside of the school day for us. So there's not really before school rehearsals or after school rehearsals. So we do what we do for class. I get my stuff on the calendar early, so they know not to schedule over top of us. I had a track meet this time as the same day as TAPS large ensemble, and the coach is just like, yeah, I mean, Tap State takes precedence over our invitational track meet we're going to. So take the kids and do what you need to do, and good luck. When it comes to football, uh, I don't know. Depending on the head coach, depending on the year, sometimes they get to play with us at halftime. Sometimes they don't. Um, Cheer generally plays with us at halftime, which is kind of nice. It's kind of tricky if they don't. I've got a lot of kids who are managers. I've got a lot of cheerleaders. I've got football players. So being in a small school, everyone kind of does everything. So you just have to roll with the punches.
So what has been the biggest differences between you being at private school versus you being at public school?
Well, budget is a challenge. Um, Private school finance is weird, y'all. Uh, at one of my schools, the boosters have to contribute to the school to pay my salary, like to help offset the school's cost. Like it's very, very interesting. I'm not really sure that even I understand it, but pretty much if we want something, we fundraise for it. There's not really X amount the band gets every year. So we have concession stands at football games, and I've been able to also do some income for our band rental fee is $100 for the year without insurance, or I charge 200 for the year with insurance. So if there's any kind of repair that needs done, the parents don't have to foot the bill. So that helps to bring in a little bit of extra income. But tax bills are expensive. Ours is going to be up over 2,000 this year. So it's going to take some pretty serious efforts for us to continue to have the resources we need, and do the stuff that we are trying to do, especially with the growth of the program. Because I have 58 this year at Shiner Catholic, and I have 4 seniors, so I think it's gonna only get bigger and better.
Man, so like it's just like there's a little bit more like scrapping that you have to do to make things work.
I remember in Yoakum, and I'm sure it's this way elsewhere. We had a good, healthy repair budget, a good, healthy activity budget, and then we also had a budget for new inventory. So once a year, we'd get a delivery from the music store of just like tens of thousands of dollars of instruments, and it was beautiful. Like we always take a photo of it and of the kids like open it up and have like a new Yamaha Barry sax and like different horns. I'm like that would never happen here. So you just really have to get creative. Like I said, I've become, and my wife can attest to this. She hates it, but I have become a whiz on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and Shop Goodwill. I can find you a horn to play if you give me just a couple of bucks. I can figure it out for you. So when it comes to new inventory, I've gotten just like crazy deals on different instruments for the schools just to save them money, and I'll pay for it and just have the school reimburse me, just because I know that if I find a deal like that, a lot of times they're not going to wait on the school check. So I don't think there's anybody better in the state of Texas as far as finding and borrowing and trying to piecework together inventory than I am, just because I've been at it for 4 years just grinding.
So how many instruments do you currently own? Actually, how many instruments do you think you have purchased? Let's start there.
50,
Cool.
55, 45. Morgan, I hope you're not listening.
So you've purchased anywhere between 45 to 60 instruments.
Maybe not 60. Probably between 40 and 50.
See, that's see what he's doing is covering his tracks right there.
We'll clip it and send it to Morgan.
Perfect. Well, and in my defense, a significant chunk of those now belong to the school. So I'll pay whatever for them, then I sell them to the school at cost, just because the school's not going to be able to afford it otherwise. But I do have a full music room in my house with you know 6 clarinets and like 5 or 6 flutes. And if you see me purging all my stuff on Marketplace in the not too distant future, I promise I didn't like steal them from my schools. It's just because I have a lot, and my wife's gonna leave me if I don't get rid of all my instruments from the music store.
Oh my goodness. You're like, honey, it's fine. It's fine. So you have your own little collection of instruments.
Yeah, well, and also being at a private school, and the inventory we have, I want to make sure that I have enough quality instruments for myself to demo for the kids. Because if they're not hearing anyone else play a trumpet, then they're not going to hear anyone play a trumpet. So I want to make sure that I'm making my best sounds possible. So I've gone out of my way to make sure that I have one pro line instrument of every instrument. So that's actually probably been my most expensive uh, endeavor, just because pro land instruments are not cheap. But I feel like if I have a good horn in my hand, I can make a good quality sound to demo for the kids. Because if you look at your fifth grader and your average fifth grader in China, Texas, they're not going to go look up James Galway. They're just not. So if they're not going to listen to it, someone has to model a sound for them. So I want to make sure that I can do it and I can make a good enough sound that if they model after me, they won't sound like complete trash.
Do you have a favorite memory as a student and as a director?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this last night actually. When I was a senior in high school, they were celebrating the Oklahoma Centennial, the 100th birthday for the state of Oklahoma. And I was like, that's really awesome. And they put together a band to commemorate that called the Oklahoma All-Star Centennial Band. And in this band, it was an all-state marching band. There was audition only. And if you made the group, they sent you to every little stinking parade all across the state of Oklahoma. So all the way to the panhandle, all the way to Southwest Oklahoma. That they sent us, there's a festival up in Northeast Oklahoma called a Rocklahoma, but they also had one that was a country festival called Country Fever Fest. So they sent us up there to go play with Reba McEntire, which was kind of cool. But the big thing for that group is they sent us out to Pasadena to go march in the Rose Parade in 2007. So I was a senior in high school, and I got to play bass drum in that group. And I started out on cymbals, and I got upgraded to bass drum. And I don't think it's because I was a very just amazing bass drum player.
Were you bass 5?
Yeah,
You were
there's a
bass
husky kid who
5.
can probably make it to the end of the parade on bass 5. But because of that, they did a really cool thing where the camera runs through a tunnel of bass drums. We all open up one by one like doorways, and they come down through the tunnel. So if you were watching the Rose Parade in 2007, I was the very first thing you saw to start your year.
That's
So
impressive.
anyway, part of being in that group, that was probably the reason that pushed me over the edge to go be a major of music. I I was like, I love this. I love being around other people who take this seriously. This is what I want to do forever. So that's probably what made me want to be a music. That was probably my coolest moment as a student. And side note, there's a group called Saluting America's Band Directors, and it's based out of Ohio, but it's a national organization. There's band directors from all 50 states, Mexico, and Canada, and they have the band directors marching band. So there's band directors from all across the state, all 50 states, Mexico, and Canada. They've done three. They've done two so far. There was Rose Parade, and then not the last Macy's Parade, but the one before that. We actually got to go march in the Macy's Parade in New York City. So that was a neat experience. But then for this next one, I found out is going to be back at Rose Parade. So I get the opportunity to march in the Rose Parade again, 19 years later to the day. So I decided to do it on bass drum again, as kind of a throwback to the first time I did it, and I'm really interested to have a comparison between the two, because when you experience that at 18, you have much different feelings than when you do it at 36, 37. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work out, but I'm
Oh,
excited to do it.
your body's going to be telling you some different things from when you were 17,
Yeah.
18 versus 36, 37.
Well, and the Macy's parade was only about 2.5, 3 miles. Rose is like 6.5. So I got to get my booty back in shape. My personal trainer in Yoakum moved away, so I gotta get back after it so I can be ready to march in this parade.
That's a long
Yeah.
way with the bass drum.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hopefully it's not base 5, but
That's what you need to do. You just need to start marching around this booming metropolis of Yoakum, Texas, with a bass drum and condition yourself, and people are gonna be like, "What is happening?"
I kid you not. I bought a marching snare, the same one that we were going to use for Macy's, and I marched around the cemetery outside my house with my earbuds in. I was a maniac.
You'll wake the dead.
Beats by Heck.
It's nice being next door to a cemetery because you got quiet neighbors.
Yeah, who are you gonna wake up?
Do you have a mistake that you've made that has made you a better educator?
My first year of teaching, and I didn't know any better, and I was with a guy who was also not a Texas person, so we didn't really know how to do stuff in the Texas way. I did not check my all region audition dates, or not dates, but the year properly. So I gave the kids year A instead of year B. And
Oof.
I didn't have that many kids trying out. I think I maybe had seven or eight. And man, I felt really bad. And I took it pretty hard. But I had one girl who made the band anyway because she was just a stud tenor saxophone player. So she got it at the competition and still managed to make the group.
Good for her.
But I realized that I have to have much better attention to detail, with this job. And from that point on, I'd never done that since in 11 years. So knock on
I've
wood.
uh I've been at contests before where that's happened, and like specifically junior high contests, and the kids are in the hallway like, Mr. So and so gave us the wrong music, and they're like trying to learn it in the hallway. I'm always like, oh,
Oh.
but
So, how many kids do you have right now that audition for the ATSSB All Region process?
Okay, so there is another organization outside of TAPS that's called TPSMEA. It's the Texas Private School Music Educators Association, and they do a lot of the same stuff TAPS does. They have their own marching contest, they have their own solo ensemble. But the reason I joined this year is because they have their own TPSMEA All State Band, and it's the same cuts as ATSSB. So I had one high school student this year who's a senior. He initially had thought that he was going to major in music. He's a drummer and he locks himself in the shed for 3 hours playing Travis Barker. He thinks he's going to be the next big rock star, and he very well might be. He's probably a better drummer than I am at this point. But I had him. He was looking at going to a percussion program for college. I said, "Hey, if you're going to do this, you have to learn to like read music properly and like go be a real percussionist instead of like just a drummer." So we went through the all region music, and I had to teach a lot of it by rote, which is it's fine. But he took to it really naturally. He came in before school for some extra rehearsals, but he made the all region bands for ATSSB, and then he was fifth chair out of 47 or 49 for TPSMEA. So we made the Texas Private School All State Band as well. So I was pretty proud of him to get to go and do that to earn a spot in the band. As far as high school band, I haven't really pushed it a ton. I think I'm going to have to start doing it because I've just got such good players that they could 100% make this group if they put in a little time and effort. In the middle school, I took 15 this year and I had 9 that earned spots. So it was awesome. I think we had as many as any other 2A or 3A at the middle school bands. And especially considering the bands we're going against have 900 kids in their school, and we have like 50 sixth and seventh and eighth graders. I think that we're holding our own pretty well.
So, where did your All State kid perform their concert? Do they have a concert and everything?
They have a performance. It's in Richardson. I think that oh shoot, I can't think of her name now. It's a Texas State band director. She was going to be the clinician. Um, the kid was unable to make the clinic because he had conflicts. But when you run into that a lot at small school, I did feel bad though. I was like, man, we spent so much time on this. Are you sure you don't want to try? I said, no, 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 no. So he didn't actually get to participate, but he did earn a spot. So I won't take that away from him. But in the future, I do want to take a kid to go to that group because it's that one is all 1A through 6A private schools in Texas, and it's fairly competitive. I mean, like I said, they only take 8 kids, and I think there were 49 who tried out, and here in fifth chair. And not all the instruments are that competitive. I think some years, like every horn who tries out gets in, so they can't make the music incredibly difficult because it's not like as competitive as ATSSB or TMEA all states. But they do have a clinic and concert up in Richardson.
nice.
So, talking about your mistake, is there something that you would recommend for new directors, like now, to avoid mistakes?
Um, I guess my advice to new teachers would just be like to get in the weeds and just go do it. I think my first few years I was like so scared of making mistakes that I wouldn't I was like so paralyzed by fear that I wouldn't just get into it and go for it. So bust out your yellow book and like play every instrument, like teach yourself, like just work at it. It took me a few years to really get into good quality teaching because I was just so overwhelmed by fear of not necessarily that I couldn't do it, but just I was overwhelmed by the idea that I was going to lead kids astray by not being the best saxophone player that there was, or by not knowing every single alternate fingering and every different pitch tendency. Like if I didn't know all that stuff, I was going to somehow irreparably damage those kids for the rest of their band career. And at the end of the day, I mean, you kind of just have to get out there and do it. And I wish I would start doing that sooner. When you're by yourself at a 1A, you figure that stuff out real fast because
Oh, yeah.
there you can't send the brass people to go off and work with Bogus, and you can't send the woodwind people to go work with, Mr. Johnson. You have to teach everybody. You're it.
You are the private lesson staff.
So, what are some things that, well, going into the private schools that you've gone into, what have you done to kind of establish the culture that you want at both those programs?
That's still a work in progress, I would say. I will say at Sacred Heart that culture existed a little bit already. They'd had some success. I think there were two different instances of them like going on a three-peat of state champions for taps. I'd already had a drum major picked out. I'm not sure that they went to a camp or anything, but a band culture kind of existed there already. Um, I tried to instill a lot of stuff as far as social. We did a game night. I had everybody bring their game systems, their card games or whatever. We just had a little hangout night. Um, but having uniforms was a big deal because before that they kind of had these really obnoxious like wind pants and they say like Indians down the side of the leg, and they had that and some like windbreaker jackets. I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna work. So I got to borrow some, or I got to take some bibbers from the school next door to ours, and I found some Shakos. So I had them in real uniforms, and on the day of competition, like I had all their uniforms laid out in their chairs the night before, and on the whiteboard I had a band is not what was it? The band is not proud because it performs well. Band performs well because it is proud. So I tried to do all that stuff, and it seemed to take. Some of it did, and some of it didn't. I take my kiddos to the sassy drum major and leadership camps and stuff. So I'm trying to make them like a real band because I don't think they have any frame of reference of what that looks like.
Would you say that the system and the culture that you are establishing is similar or better than the system that you grew up in?
I would say definitely better, just because my program in school was so nobody was there for long enough to really instill much of a program. I remember going to this little contest every year in Oklahoma called like the Arbuckle Wilderness, and they'd take us out to this nature reserve and we'd go perform, and that was kind of like our big thing that we did, and then like a Six Flags trip. But as far as like a band culture, one didn't really exist. I got invited to go play with a high school band as a sixth grader. We played North Star Overture by John O'Reilly, and that's the piece that made me fall in love with band of all things. But I got to play with a high school band as a sixth grader, so I thought I was hot. I was like, oh yeah, look at me. But besides that, I mean, the program that I came up in was like not great. So because of that, I want to make sure that these kids have it better than I had it.
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate goal is to give them a better experience than what you had.
Yeah.
Especially for you coming from Oklahoma to like Texas, where like the band thing in Texas is like I feel like pretty consistent as far as like what the expectation is, no matter what the size of the school is. And I don't know if that's holds true in Oklahoma.
They like I said, I've never taught in Oklahoma, so I kind of just have to base it off of when I was a student, and then base off my friends who still teach in Oklahoma, which I have several. But it's not dissimilar up there. They have a list that they play off of. There's a 2A list, a 3A list, a 4A list, and for them, you play at the district level, and they only do two pieces. They do one list piece and then one march. But if you get a one at region or district, I guess they call it, then they go to the state contests, and they do a state concert band contest as well. Of course, Oklahoma's small enough you can do that. That would never work in Texas, just with the sheer number of groups and all that and stuff. But I'd say it's getting better in Oklahoma than when I was in school. But there's Texas, so.
Who has the true panhandle, Texas or Oklahoma?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Man, being an Okie, I don't know. I can't completely abandon those guys, but the Texas one's big, right?
Yeah.
Texas has the biggest panhandle.
Yeah, you also taught at a school called Panhandle.
Yeah, it's literally Panhandle High School. Go Panthers!
Like, does Oklahoma have a Panhandle, Oklahoma? Is that a real
Maybe.
question?
There's a 5A in the Panhandle called Guyman, and that's kind of the biggest Panhandle thing that's up there. And I think they have a college, Oklahoma Panhandle State University. That's got to count for something.
The
Wow.
Panhandle.
But I have dual citizenship because I go to Oklahoma 3 times a year at least to go see my family, my niece and nephew, my brother, my parents. I'm also a diehard Oklahoma City Thunder fan.
I was going to
Like,
ask you about that.
Are they relevant, like, at all?
Relevant?
Relevant. That's one of those words.
I know.
You're talking
Yeah,
about
sorry,
the best record in the NBA. 68 wins this year, the 6th best all time. They're like good now, which is very good because I was a fan when they were awesome, like with KD and Westbrook
Yeah.
and made the finals. Then I was a fan through the tank when we were losing every game and getting blown out by 72 points. And now they're good again. Like I feel like an OG fan.
That's what it's kind of like to be a Baylor sports fan. It's similar feelings. It's like we're really good. We're terrible. We're good again.
What is that? The Rob Schneider. Oh no, we suck again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly it. That is exactly it.
Also of note, speaking of Oklahoma and my family, my niece and nephew now go to Washington. So they're in my nephew's in the band program and plays trombone. And every now and then I'll get little sweet messages from some of the staff that was there when I was there. It said, "Hey, I got to meet your nephew," and
Aw.
he's playing guitar at the talent shows. He calls himself Wolf. Oh my gosh, he's the coolest kid in the world.
Cute. What is Washington near?
We are, I say we like I don't live there. It is about 10 minutes south of Norman.
Okay.
Norman was kind of my city growing up. I mean, we would work there and go to church there and groceries there. So I normally claim Norman as my hometown.
Were you like an OU fan growing up?
Yeah, I was born in Norman, and I was. I worked in a restaurant on game days, so I remember all the game day vibes and people coming their senior year. And I still am to a lesser extent. The football team is kind of hit or miss lately.
Man, I will tell you, that is one of the most annoying things is when you go to like a Baylor game and you all have to take the same transportation to get to the stadium and somebody yells boomer. I guess not anymore because they're in the SEC, but somebody would yell boomer and then everyone is yelling back and it was just like, please stop. Please. It would be the whole time.
Does OU have more than one stand tune? That's the real question.
It's like variations on Boomer Sooner.
They play Oklahoma and they play Boomer Sooner. They probably somewhere right now are in a room playing Boomer Sooner.
I'm sure they are. My college band director, or one of my college band directors, is there now and does all the athletic band stuff. So I'm like, do you ever get tired of that, man? He's like, oh no, I love it. Oh, he's all about it. But he's a maniac. And also my fraternity big brother is assistant director of athletic bands. So they're sickos.
More power to them.
There is not a Panhandle, Oklahoma.
There's not.
Not from what I could. So automatically,
yeah,
Texas
I think Texas takes
superior.
the cake.
Yeah, I mean they have a Panhandle, Texas.
We've talked about that before, like the creative West Texas names. But really, how much better does it get than Panhandle? Panhandle, Texas.
It's just like whenever like it's Big Lake, there's not a lake there. Like
Yeah.
there's
No,
nothing.
there's no lake out that way.
Oh my goodness. So what are some of your other responsibilities you've had since you've been in like a small school or like a private school?
So I think because they're aware of like my schedule and because of my, they just know what all my job entails. They don't require me to do a ton of extra stuff on top of my regular duties. So I'm not very often asked to have like lunch duty or anything like that. Every now and then, I'll drive the route in the morning. For private schools, for most of the time, the kids just get dropped off by their parents because a lot of times they'll just bring them by the school. But there are some surrounding communities that people don't really want their kids to go to those schools. So because of that, they send them to Shiner, to Sacred Heart. But because of that, there's one, not even a bus route. You go pick up kids in a town 30 minutes away, and then you pick up all the kids and then you take them back to the school. So you're not like going to house picking kids up. You just pick up a big group of kids at a set time every day. So I do have my CDL from my public school time, so that can be a blessing or a curse.
So what is the relationship between the private schools and the public schools there in both your towns?
It's great. I can call Zach pretty much any time and have him listen to my recordings or come listen to my kids. I go help out his bands. Same thing for Henry Dreitner at Hallettsville. Shout out Henry. He's listening to my groups, and I come listen to his. He's actually a huge help. He drove the bus for fall band championships for us, and like was in charge when I was not there. Because like I said, on those contest days, there's not 2 days for fall band championships. There's only one, and I can't clone myself as much as I would like to. So
Aha! No, I've heard we no sir. There are at least three of you, sir. There are three of you. I've met at least one of them, and his name is Brett Batchelor.
I kid you not. He played in the Town and Gown band and Canyon, and there's a photo of us from 10 years ago at that group wearing matching shirts. We took a photo together and we showed our kids like, "Hey, we're twinning. You met your twin," and like our kids were so freaked out by it because we look so similar. And we recreated that photo this year at TMEA 10 years later.
My gosh.
That's a OG homie, man. We've been friends since Phi Mu Alpha before I even had like an inkling that I was going to come teach in Texas. So I've known that dude like 15 years.
Yeah, like before we actually knew you, like you came across our like one of our feeds or my feed or Alexa's feed or something, and like we became aware of your presence. And Alexa goes, "Oh my god, that's Bizarro Brett Batchelor."
Jake, I'm pretty sure that I've seen you like in public before, like at TMA, and been like, "Oh, there's Brett," and then I'm like, "Wait, well, hold on."
I think
To,
that's
like
what it
think
was.
about it,
Yeah, we were at Team EA and we're like, "Oh, look, there's Brett."
because
That
we've
is not
known Brett for I don't know,
a
probably
long
as long.
time.
Yeah.
Because he's from this area.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's from Lorena.
And so like talking to him and then like seeing you and then going like, that's not right.
I will. So let me set the record straight. I will never like be upset with someone if they come up to me at TMEA or TBA and like, "Hey, Brett," I'm just gonna laugh and I'll text him and say, "Hey, somebody else thought you were me or I was you."
I signed you up to write somebody's drill.
That would be bad.
Dude, that'd be good. I can get him some extra clients that way.
Yeah. Just
It's
did
twice the
Jake.
networking.
So have you ever carried on a conversation as Brett Batchelor?
No, I've not gotten that far yet, but now that you're bringing it up, I think that needs to happen at some point in the not too distant future.
This
Okay.
is like the white guy version of you and Jesus.
Yeah, but the thing, Jesus and I don't look
no, but you still get mistaken, just like Jake is talking.
I don't know. It's like at least it's Brett and Jake. Like there's a difference in that.
Yeah.
Jesus and Jose. Like,
well, they think you're the same person.
I don't understand.
Well, and Brett was at Tulia when I was in Childress, so we'd see each other at the region things, and it'd be like,
that had to be mind blowing.
Mr. Yeah, the kids would freak out.
But,
oh,
is it like the Spider-Man meme thing? Like,
yeah. Another thing of note, I mentioned this guy's name earlier. My first year to teach in Texas, I taught with a guy named Rob Frick. And when you think about my name being Heck, the kids, "What the heck, Mr. Frick? What the frick, Mr. Heck?
That's
what the
funny.
frickin'
That
heck's
is really
going
funny.
on?"
That's good.
So
That's good.
Freaking heck.
Okay. So I've heard there's a third one of y'all,
A triplet?
a triplet. Who is this
I
triplet?
I don't know. I've heard this too, and I'm not 100% sure.
It's at this point it's just conjecture. No one's sure.
Just put on a milk
Apparently,
carton. Have you seen me?
yeah. Apparently
People are like,
his
that's Brett Batchelor.
yeah. Well, apparently his name's Tim.
How do we find Tim? Tim, if you listen
Tim.
to the podcast, can you
Tim.
let us know so we can hook you up with Brett and Jake?
I know what we need to do for like
Have you seen this man?
what we need to do for Jake's like graphic is have Jake staring into a mirror and Brett facing back.
Well,
That's not a bad idea.
I've thought a little bit about the graphic for this, and you'll have to like scroll through my Facebook profile pictures, but there's one of me from high school that I'm rocking like a sweet mullet, and I have like the Led Zeppelin t-shirt over top of the button-down shirt. I thought that I was like such a rocker kid. Like we went and played the talent show and did like Black Sabbath at the school talent show, and I was like such a rocker. I thought I was gonna be a radio DJ up until my senior year. Like I was all about that life.
That's funny. I'll scroll.
Oh,
I'll find it.
we'll find
I'll
some
find
stuff.
it.
Oh
We'll
no.
find some stuff. So what's been the most difficult part about being in the small school and the private school?
Um Probably trying to temper expectations a little bit. There are some years that one school is going to be better than the other, and I have to kind of realize this and not play the comparison as a thief of joy. And I have gotten in trouble before for saying, "Oh, well, my Shiner kids don't rehearse this way," or "Hey, my Sacred Heart kids could play that the right way." And I do it sort of as a motivator, and it kind of goes the opposite direction. Then I get like a parent email or something. So it's been a little bit of a challenge in that way, but you kind of just have to know your personnel and know what they're capable of doing and what they're not, and try and raise them up to meet the challenge. So that was a little bit of a challenge in the last 3 years, especially.
Yeah, especially since both programs are like being successful and growing. And like I mean, like you said, one group has had a culture longer than the other school. So that's kind of like that's kind of frustrating as a director because you're going from one campus where that culture and that expectation has already had some roots take and now you go to the other school and that's not quite the case. And so I could see how that could get really frustrating very quickly.
Well, and the two schools, I said that like every other year, I have to do one game with both bands because Shiner doesn't travel on away game. So this year I didn't have to do one with both bands. But last year I had to have both bands at the same game at the same time. So um, the Sacred Heart kiddos were fine because they had two drum majors, three captains. They're used to doing football games without me. The Shiner kids just weren't because at Shiner it's a 7th through 12th grade pep band. So my 7th graders are going to stand with us because with all the football and cheer, I'd have like 15 or 20 kids otherwise. So I had to be on the Shiner side, and the kids are so funny. They're like, "So are we gonna do like a joint halftime show?" I was like, "No, you want to hear their show, and they want to hear your show, right?" So we did opposite halftime shows of each other, and then what we did instead is we did a combined national anthem since they both play the same arrangement of it. So there's a pretty sweet photo of me in my red and blue checkered, button down conducting both bands simultaneously, and that was a pretty cool moment. They did a write up for the paper about it.
Are they rivals at all?
So they are bitter rivals. As much as Catholic school kids can be, I suppose. But
Okay, I was about to
there's
say
there's
like one
tra-
school's Lutheran, the other one's Catholics, the other one's Baptist. You know,
there is trash talk. Sometimes there's like Snapchat, social media drama. Like they don't like each other, which I think is hilarious because I kind of get to be the tie that binds between the two. And I've also toyed with potentially doing a joint spring concert or a joint Christmas concert or something one year just to kind of bridge the gap a little bit.
It's like the parents who put their kids in the same shirt, like the get along shirt. You are the get along shirt.
Besides when you like did the national anthem, do they ever mingle? Like, do they ever like hang out with each other or anything like that?
They play each other in sports all the time because they're
Okay.
both two ways. So they're on a first name basis with each other, and like they know a lot of them are cousins too. There's like lots of family between the two of them, which is kind of neat. Um, I don't guess they just hang out for fun a lot of the time. My senior trumpet player got cancer this year, and he was out for most of the fall semester. But there were a lot of the Sacred Heart kids who showed support and bought his T-shirt that they did. They had like a big fundraiser for him, so they come together for the big important stuff. But I don't think that they're just besties
Yeah.
consistently.
Do they share any type of like fight song or school song or?
Surely not.
I mean, I you never know.
No, it's Grand Old Flag for Sacred Heart, and then Shiner Polka for Shiner. So it's they're pretty well set apart. The communities down here are very like Czech. So there's lots of beer drinking and like having the brewery down the road. So if I did polkas at every football game, like I would I'd make so many people happy. I just don't have it in me.
Yeah, I mean they're Catholic. They drink during church,
Wait.
so
So Zach Sims has never been to the brewery, allegedly. Have you
Zach
been?
Sims is Zach Sims is a liar, and I'm putting this out there officially.
All right, Zach, he's coming for you.
I
he's all
love
like,
that guy,
"Oh,
but
so do we."
he's not being the most honest about that.
He's
And
never been to the brewery,
I
according to
I
him.
I'll say this: I don't think he's ever drank at the brewery.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Okay.
all right, all right. Yeah, because like I messaged him about you. I was like, "Hey, we're gonna interview like Jake for we're gonna interview Jake." That's all I said, and he gave me a call like, "Oh, he's a great guy," but trying to like, I was like, "No, I'm for the podcast, dude." He was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah."
Dude, he'd be mad if I left Shiner. He loves having me down here. A weird, funny story about that. We were vacationing this summer. We were going to Alaska, and the cruise leaves out of Vancouver. So I happened to see that Zach and his family were up there. They went to band for something, and they were in Vancouver the same time we were. So I called him or texted him. I was like, "Hey, dude, let's get together and get breakfast in Vancouver." And I kid you not, we live maybe 7 minutes apart, but and the whole summer, the only time I saw him was literally thousands of miles away in Vancouver.
That's pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what have you done to help establish such like large programs in your school? Because we talked about this earlier. You have approximately 20% plus at both your schools.
Well, okay. I've thought about this and I don't really have a good answer. When I first started at Shiner, I think I had 15 in the high school band. And I will say it was a 9 through 12 high school band. It wasn't an 8 through 12. So I had 15. But then by the time I got to my second year, they made my schedule the way I wanted it to and had 8 through 12. So at that point, I was up to like 50 because all the eighth graders are required to be in band. So that boosted numbers for sure. But then this year we took a leap to almost 60, and I'm like, "Holy cow. How did we get here when we were 15 2 years ago?" Some of it I would like to take credit for me like, "Oh, well, I'm just that good." But a lot of the time the other electives here, there's a lot of outside of school obligations. So if you're in robotics, they have to go to competitions on Saturday. If you're in one act play, there's extra rehearsals and there's extra, competitions that they go to. For band, I try to structure it in a way that you're not taking a lot of extra time outside of the school day. Um, and because of that, I think that's a big draw for kids because if you have to take an elective, the kids don't really want to take away from their athletics or from their sport, from their academics. So, and there's a lot of kids who are in select leagues and travel ball and that kind of stuff, and got a lot of FFA kids, a lot of pageant kids. There's a lot of everything here. So I'm not so naive to think that they're in it because they adore band and they love music and they're obsessed. A lot of them just want to play music with their friends, and that's fine too. You have to have a program that caters to both. Because I have some kids who are really into playing and really into making music and playing their instrument, and they take it seriously. And I have some kids who just love hanging out and having a good time and making music. So I try and have a program that caters to both groups.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've talked to our kids about this. Like there are three, I feel like three tiers of band kids. There are band kids who are like your diehards, like they are going to be full throttle band. And then you have your middle column, which is the kids who are there because they enjoy band, but they enjoy the social aspect so like so much more. And then you have your bottom tier kids that are there for the credit. And like our whole entire like scope is like, how do we get the kids who are in the middle tier to the top tier, and how do we get the kids in the bottom tier to the middle tier, like, or get the ones at the bottom tier to jump all the way up to the top tier, and just like those types of things. But like ultimately, like I think about it, when I was in junior high, I was in band because my friends were in band. Like a lot of those people were in band, and that's what kept me going. And then I discovered girls, and that's what kept me in
That you could
band.
meet girls from other schools if you auditioned for region band.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's what happens. So okay, so you are now a consistent contender for your state championship. So how at both your schools for the most part, how do you make that happen?
I think knowing your ensemble and picking appropriate music for them. My very first year of doing the taps, there was no marching show picked out, so we just picked some stand tunes, and we went to field band and we did poorly. I think we finished second from last, and so I picked an actual halftime show, a Luke show. So shout out Luke McMillan, friend of the pod, I guess. We did one of his easiest shows, and we put it together, and we won state that year. We went from being second to last to winning the whole dang thing the next year. For solo and ensemble, I'd like to say that there's, some magical key to figuring it out, but honestly, it's a numbers game. You're allowed to have kids doing 6 events total, including the large ensemble. So I have all my flute players. I give them the option to also do a piccolo solo, so we can double our points. I give our clarinet players the option to do a bass clarinet solo to double their points. All my trumpet players also did a baritone solo this year, so we can get twice as many points. So I think there is some argument of if that is pedagogically sound for them to be switching embouchures that much, but I guess my comeback to that would be they're reading twice as much music and they're learning twice as many solos. I don't see how that could be a bad thing. My percussionist, like my all-stater kid, he got a 1 this year on a class 1 drum set solo, a class 2 snare drum solo, and then a class 3 timpani, keyboard. He did 5 percussion solos total, so he
Wow.
was able to quintuple his points compared to some of the other students who did. So because of that, your points accrue really quickly if every kid's doing 2 solos and 2 ensembles. And I also am trying to figure out, and maybe someone else that's listening on the pod can help me do this. I'm trying to come up with the list of the most accessible uh, class 1 trios or the class 1 quartets, or class 2 trios, class 2 quartets. So that way I can kind of know what to give the kids, because there's so much stuff on the PML that is written
Oh
for the
yeah.
5A 6A kids that there's it's so inaccessible for kids, for my kids. So I have to really go out of my way to find this stuff, and unfortunately, there's not really a good way to listen to this music. There's not like a Stanton listening library for solo and ensembles. So, also, when you're at a private school, you don't really hire an accompanist because there's not money for that. So I've gotten really good at plunking in to Sibelius accompaniment tracks. So I have an entire PML on my Dropbox of all the accompaniments that I've done so far. So if anyone else wants to join me on that and put together accompaniment tracks, you can have mine too. It'll be a collaborative effort. But
Yeah.
and then
Many
for
hats. Many hats.
yeah, I kind of have to be good at doing all of it. And then for concert and sight reading, I just picked the highest piece of music that I think that we can attain. So last year we did a 3, We did Choose Joy. Or not Choose Joy. We did Brave Spirit. We did Choose Joy on the spring concert. But then this year we did a 4. We did Salvation. So I'm not sure that a 5 is ever in the cards for this group. I had them listen to Ride by Hazo, and they like lost their minds. It'd be real. It'd be pretty insane for us to be playing a 5 as a 1A, but I'm not ruling that out as a possibility. But you kind of just have to pick the music that works best for your kids without losing them.
Yeah. That goes for the public school people as well. That's not just a private school skill. That is a public school skill as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's so interesting. So do you ever have any of your like are your kids allowed to do the UIL thing then?
Mm-mm. The only thing that we can do that corresponds to the public school is the all region process.
Mm.
So I had kids enter into ATSSB all region this year. I had 9 middle school kids in the region bands, and it was great. But that's it. That's the only thing, because we don't go to marching competition because we do it for TAPS already, and we don't go to concert and sight reading for UIL. So we have our own organization for it. Now, if we wanted to do TPS MEA, we could, but there's no point to it because TAPS isn't just for band. TAPS is the whole. TAPS is like UIL for private schools. So
Yeah.
there's TAPS athletics and TAPS academics, TAPS robotics. So
I just like because you're talking about solo ensemble, like could I mean I'm gonna poke the dragon on this one, but like could you do UIL solo and ensemble?
I asked the region secretary about it, and she told me no. So I'm just going with what I was told from my region secretary. I don't know if there's a rule against it. Um, I think it'd be kind of cool because it would give our kids an extra opportunity to play the music in front of judges. I had a class 1 clarinet trio this year that could have used a little bit extra love on it, and they did fine. They did great on their music, kind of won for it. But if they could go to an additional contest before they do it for real, I think some of my kids would benefit for it, especially kids who are playing class 1s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just interesting because like I don't know. It's just like there's a fine line between like you're doing your thing, we're doing our thing versus like everyone's just doing the thing, you know?
Well, and I'm gonna jump on my soapbox here for a sec, and there is no there is no pathway for a TAPS band director to join the adjudication. What's it called again? Sorry.
Yeah,
TMAA.
TMAA. And I went to this and I talked to was it Countryman or Coachman? I talked to whoever, one of those guys, and they said, well, you have to take your last years of public school, and that has to count towards it. I was like, so there's no pathway for a TAPS director to join TMAA, and they said not currently, no. And I said, is that subject to change? Is that something that we can write? And they had zero interest in listening to me. So if that can be something that I start the fire for that. I'm not that there's a bunch of TAPS, private school band directors beating down the door to be TMAA, but I think it'd be really cool to get to be a judge. A lot of my friends are. Henry is, Zach is. So I'd like the opportunity to do that. I don't think that we play anything that's too far removed. I mean, we play from the same PML. We have standards, so a superior rating versus a excellent rating. So I don't think that we're worse teachers on the TAP side of thing, even if the standard may not be as high as the UIL. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I
I'll
mean,
step out from that.
no, you're totally fine. Well, and those are the important things that like also we kind of need to discuss because like a lot of people just don't know what you do and like what TAPS does, and it's still providing the same service that we're providing. It's just doing it in a different maybe capacity because of like I mean, it's a private school. That's really the only thing that's different. You're going through the same struggles, if not more struggles than what we as public educators are doing. You're just in a private school.
Well, and I honestly have gotten a lot of changes done at TAPS just by asking questions and just by poking the bear a little bit. Because when I first got there, they didn't have TAPS instrumentation for sight reading. I was like, it's easy, just copy and paste the one from UIL. That they didn't have a lot of the protocols that exist for UIL did not exist for TAPS, and not because TAPS has different ones, like they just weren't there. So I straight up told them what they need to be doing, and they kind of just listened to me, which is good. It's refreshing. So they changed their bylaws and added that stuff. So I think by being the squeaky wheel, you do get some stuff changed in that way. But I don't want that to be my only recourse. I want them to just kind of I want things to change because they need to change and not because I have to throw a fit and be a Karen.
Well, yeah. Well, it's about the student experience, and like if things are, I mean, it's just like anything else. We've always done it that way. Like uh, at some point in time, it stops serving our student body. You know, I mean, if that was the same way that's the way we've always done it. Like tradition's great. I'm not going to be anybody that's going to buck tradition, but like the moment tradition becomes detrimental is the moment that tradition needs to go away.
Correct. And honestly, after concert and sight reading this year, with kind of the mess that it was with the venue and with the sight reading, there's going to have to be some hard conversations at our TAPS convention on what to do moving forward. Because they were, before I came to TAPS, they were making every school sight read a level 3, like even the 1As. And I was like, that's not fair that a school that has 78 kids has to sight read the same music as a school that has, 550. So I threw a fit about it a little bit, and I finally got it changed. So now all the 1A through 4As read a 2, and then the 5A 6As read a 3. So I think if there are changes that you want to have made, and if there are traditions that don't need to be there anymore, and protocols that exist, they're there because someone wrote them, but that doesn't mean that someone can't rewrite them, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the same idea. Like, we more heads together is better than one. You know, I mean, more thought. That's why people have like collectives. And Lex and I just attended this summit called Rise, and it's about like marching band health and movement and things like that. And like, it was very interesting to have some of the conversations that we did have, because there were only probably about 6 band directors there, and then everybody else was like dance and like color guard people. And like, me, her, and one other person were probably the smallest school people there. Like, we were a 4A. There was no one else below a 4A there. And like, our experiences were very different from the people who were there that were from like a 6A powerhouse in the Austin area. And like,
Yeah.
I gave some like comments. I was very active in the.
You were.
I was
You were
very
like
vocal.
the ideal like summit member.
Like, I had some very strong. I had some opinions and I had some perspectives, and like, saying some of the things that I said made these large school people go like, "Oh, that's not what I have to deal with at all." And so just like having those conversations and bringing them to light, and like making people realize like, oh, there's a different way to do things, or this is the way we need to do it, or like just like challenge that a little
One
bit.
of the things was like, well, you can just have your tech staff do this. And we're like, but we are the tech staff. Like, that's just us. Stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's just like, you're the tech staff. That's the way that
Yeah.
works.
It's like a private lesson staff that exists and definitely isn't fake.
Definitely isn't me with one of my 6 clarinets.
And so it's difficult fighting those battles, and it's just like giving perspective, and like, hey, it's okay to change, and it's okay for us to make this experience better for everyone involved.
Absolutely.
So like, prime example, I don't know if you heard the horror stories about the level 4 sight reading this year.
It was a saga.
Yeah, there's a whole entire thing about it. But like, could you imagine like reading that as a 6A sub?
I don't know that Jake's the person to talk to about sight reading.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This might be a little bit of a sore spot.
Do you want to name the piece? So like, there was a mishap at the TAPS sight reading thing, and they sent them the wrong music. And the music they sent them was, what was the name of the piece there, Jake?
West Highlands Sojourn.
Yeah. So they made them read the middle movement of that piece.
The slow movement.
Yeah. As their sight reading. And I'm going like, what?
It's in 3/4 in the key of F, right?
Yeah, and the clarinets go to maybe a high D, at least a high C. There's 3 clarinet parts, 3 trumpet parts, 2 alto parts, 3 trombone parts. Like, I think
That's your
and I
band
know
right there.
I I think the judge did their best, but if you don't know, like, the prerequisites of what a class of what a grade 2 sight reading piece is supposed to be, then like if you don't have the ranges in front of you, you don't have the keys in front of you, then you're not really qualified to make that kind of decision because it pretty much most of the sections broke the rules
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
ranges and then the splitting of the parts. And then to do a slow pretty movement with a 1A band, like what are you doing, dude?
That's a lot.
Because that's a grade 3 on the PML.
That's why I was saying I don't know that Jake is the person to air your woes to
Yeah,
about the
true.
the
Well,
level 4 sight reading.
and I told the kids about it afterward. I was like, listen, that's a piece of music that bands practice for months to take to competition, and you had 10 minutes. The fact that we even got through it is should be celebrated. So even if you didn't get a 1 or you got a 2, I mean, even if by finishing it you completed the assignment.
That's basically an excerpt of a piece that they would prepare for their like concert portion of it.
Yeah, that's their stage performance.
Yeah.
And I texted you afterward and I was like, "What are they doing?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"I could have brought something from my school that's like more appropriate." I was like, "I wish you would have."
I know.
I was unaware of the situation until I drove up.
You could have
Well,
brought something else.
they didn't tell anybody until after they finished the concert performance. They said, "All right, it's percussion. All you need is a suspended cymbal and a triangle, and then there's bells in there." I was like,
You're like,
"What are we
"That's
doing, y'all?"
weird."
No snare.
Strange.
Oh my
No
goodness.
snare,
Yeah,
no bass drum, no yeah.
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
So,
that was wild.
Jake, who would you say has been like some of your greatest mentors, or who has been your greatest mentor?
Um, so when I was starting band up in Oklahoma, I had a guy named Steve Smith who was my first band director, and he was a trumpet player, not even a percussionist, but he put me on the right track as far as learning how to count and notes and rhythms. And even though my high school had one director only and we had 3 directors in 4 years, I had a good foundation to start off. So I was really fortunate that I had a good foundation. I think that set me up for success. My undergrad percussion professor, Dr. Bessinger at Southwestern Oklahoma State, he knew that I was a work in progress because no one ever taught me to really read the keyboard music. So I knew enough about mallets to do my little 2 mallet all state exercises, and I had to do them from rote pretty much. I'd memorize them. So I went from that to winning a marimba concerto competition at OCU. So I was able to really kind of improve my skills under his mentorship. So I'm really grateful for him for that from a playing standpoint. And then as far as mentors and teaching, I'm really grateful for Jennifer Vogus at Yoakum because I model a lot of what I do after what she did at Yoakum, and that's a hard place to work, and she did it for like the better part of 15 years. So, um, like I said, just the time commitment there was crazy, but she was just someone who was fantastic, a really great teacher, um, very demanding, very high standards. But a lot of what I do now is because of stuff that I learned with her. So I'm grateful for the time that I spent with those people.
Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Um, I gotta say, I'm a little bit of a gamer. I think I spent the better part of the last 3 days playing Assassin's Creed on PlayStation, and like my wife would go to work at the hospital or like go. She made like an Easter ham to take into her nurses and stuff. I'm like, all right, go have fun, and I would just sit there and play Assassin's Creed. So I do like doing video games and stuff. I think travel is our biggest thing that we do though. We love to travel.
Probably.
Then in the last year we did um, Macy's, so New York. We did Chicago for Midwest, Alaska. We cruised. We took my wife's mom for her 60th birthday. We did a week in Peru. We did Mexico. Went to Cancun. We went to North Carolina to go see her brother. So travel is a big thing that we love to do. And not everyone may be aware of this, but my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in I guess it was January of 22. Um, so she had to go through the whole thing with chemo, surgery, radiation, immunotherapy. So, and in that same year, she she also, and I won't talk crap about Waco since you guys are Wacoans, but we were on I-35 headed to Oklahoma. We just watched the Sooners play at the Alamo Dome for their bowl game, but we were headed up to Oklahoma to go see the family, and we're cruising on 35, and a huge chunk of metal comes from the northbound lane in from southbound into the northbound lane and hits the underside of her car. And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna like delay our trip. We're gonna have to get our car fixed. And so we pull over and shut the car off, and it's still smoking. So I was like, we got to get out of here. This is about to be bad. So we got all our belongings. Our We had presents for the kids. We had our bags. I got the tamales. You know, the important stuff.
Yes,
The
yes.
Yes.
our band boosters at Sacred Heart do a massive tamale sale every year. So we brought our tamales to Oklahoma. But my wife's car burned completely on the side of I-35 in about 30-degree weather, just north of Waco. So when that happens, and you almost lose your life to cancer, and then the I-35 tries to kill you, it really brings some things into perspective as far as like what matters in this life. I was like, we don't know how much longer we have to be here, so we need to like live it up and have some fun. So I took an entire week off of school to go to Peru from both schools. I told my principals, I was like, listen, I'm going to this. My wife was going to take her dad. Before COVID, they had it all scheduled. Then COVID hit; they had to reschedule. I wasn't going to go initially, but after all this, I'm like, I don't want to look back in 30 years and say, man, I wish I was at that football game. It's like, no, I wish I would have gone to Lima, Peru, and climbed Machu Picchu. So I said, there's not going to be a band at either football game this week, and that's going to have to be okay because that's fine. So, and it was fine. I got to do the trip, and they were able to figure it out without me. So I'm a firm believer in self care and do what makes you happy. And thankfully, the private school situations kind of facilitated that because I know a lot of public school directors who, when I tell that, they like they like gives them great pause. They like are very taken aback by that because work is so much of our identity and self sacrifice. But I won't do it. I'm not gonna do it to the point that it does damage to my family and to my health and to my joy.
I mean, then that's very respectful. I mean, like we talked about this beforehand, but like I had a huge internal struggle with like the area marching contest and like Joel being born. And like that was like a hard thing for me because I mean, just like a lot of other band directors, we're programmed to work. And like I made the right decision because that was the only decision to be made. But like there was still part of me that felt a draw to the job just because like that's also something I'm very passionate about. But I will have other bands. I will have other contests. I There's only so many times that I'm gonna have a birth of a child.
Yeah.
And so, that's just once again like the work life balance has to be there. Do you have a favorite trip?
Um, our honeymoon was pretty spectacular. We did a whole month in Europe, and then for the last week of it, we flew both of our moms to Italy. So, when Morgan finished med school, she's as a thank you to her parents, she said, "I want to take you guys both to anywhere in the world that you want to go." And her mom said Italy, and her dad said Peru for Machu Picchu. So, since we're bringing her mom anyway, we decided to fly our moms out for Florence and for Rome. And she said, "I'm going to eat my weight in gelato when I'm there," and I think she did. Her mom, every meal was gelato. But we did about 3 days in each city. So we did uh, Lisbon in Portugal, uh, Barcelona, Madrid, Paris, London, Amsterdam, and then we ended with Florence and Rome. It was fantastic.
I
Wow.
will say all of the things that have happened to your wife are very terrible, and I'm glad she's, like, doing okay now. However, the I-35 story tracks That seems like something that would happen on I-35 in Waco.
Well, actually, I feel like that's I-35 anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anywhere on I-35.
Yeah.
Like we've driven through Austin a few times now, and I'm just going like,
I know people on the internet are always like, Waco sucks because you like have to drive through on I-35. And it's like, yeah. And the people that live here, we know that too. Like it's bad. We don't want to go down I-35 either.
I mean, but you could say the same thing about Austin.
Yeah, Austin's bad regardless.
Yeah.
And San Antonio
Yeah.
and Dallas. And then they're actually doing a ton of construction up in I-35 in Norman. So my mom's commute home is like a half an hour longer because they're doing all this construction up there. So I was like, we all have an equal hatred of I-35.
Yeah, it just depends where you're at because, like, at least in Waco and I-35, it's a straight shot. Like it's pretty simple. I-35 in Austin, like, if you get off of the wrong spot, good luck.
Same that almost happened to us the other day.
Dallas is even worse.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
35 East and 35 West.
Yes. That one exit in San Antonio.
Oh, yeah, where you have to get over like 5 lanes or whatever.
Yeah, it's our TMEA exit that we always take. And you have to get over like seriously like 5 lanes or you miss the exit.
Yeah, it's 35 onto 37 or something like that.
Something like that.
It's like absolutely.
Hey, side note on 35 East and West, where they come back together south of Dallas is in Hillsboro.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to Buc-ee's, you're doing it wrong because Hillsboro is Brahms.
Yes, that is like the furthest south Brahms I think that there is.
It is.
Yep.
We actually had Brahms at our wedding. We had sherbet at our wedding, so we had some family pick it up on the way down and put it on
that's pretty
dry
cool.
ice. Like we're Brahms people. I mean Brahms Tuttle, where they have the Brahms farms is like, I don't know, 30 minutes from my house growing up. So every time we get the chance to go up and have some Brahms, we have Brahms, and they had that in the Panhandle as well. So
that's cool.
So Brahms or Bluebell? That's the question now.
He just said
Brahms all day,
all the way. I mean, I just want a comparison.
Also, Hillsboro. He brought up Hillsboro. This made me think of this. They were like throwing a Mall-mageddon event. I don't know if you saw that.
I read about this.
They have the defunct like outlet mall. That outlet mall, like when I was young in like the 90s, that is like where you went to go back to school shopping. And it was hopping. They had like all the cool stuff that like the other popular outlet malls have now, like in San Marcos or Round Rock or whatever. That used to be like that in Hillsboro. And now there was like nothing there besides Bath and Body Works. And so they were like throwing an event to destroy the outlet mall.
What happened?
I don't know.
Just Amazon, I guess.
Tariffs.
Tariffs.
Now they're blowing the outlet mall up.
Oh my goodness. If there was one thing that you could bring back, what would it be?
All right, I've thought long and hard about this one because I hear this question asked on all the other ones that you guys do. Beast Wars.
Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was heavy into Beast Wars. I had like most of those toys.
Do you know what he's talking about?
No.
So
it sounds familiar.
It's Transformers, except they're animals.
This sounds like, was this like a mid-90s thing? Or?
Oh yeah, they had like a bad CGI one.
I was busy watching Beetleborgs, I think.
It was a thing.
Did you ever watch Whale Wars?
No, I did not watch Whale Wars.
Sorry, that made me think of it.
There's a South Park episode that makes fun of that.
Oh yeah, I watched that episode.
You should know that my 2 corgis are named after South Park characters, kind of roundaboutly. So we rehomed a corgi named Fluffy Butt, and I was like, that's a dumb name, first off. So we started calling him like Butt and Buddy, and it kind of became Butters. So he became Fluffy Butt to Butters.
I keep saying I want to name a dog Butters.
We have Butters the corgi, and then my cousin runs an Aussie corgi breeding business in Oklahoma. So we got one of his dogs from up there, and he was calling him Tweeter. I was like, well, I don't know about Tweeter. So it became Tweet, and then it became Tweak and Tweaky. So we have Butters and Tweak in our house, and there are 2 corgis.
I was trying to guess the characters as you were saying it.
Yes. Until we have our own kiddos, these are our children, Butters and Tweak.
I was hoping it was going to be Blanket.
I was going to say Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Towel.
We're like obsessed with corgi stuff too. I have a corgi backpack that I wear at TMEA every year, and it's got this little corgi design on it. And I had like my grown up cool Swiss gear backpack, and I forgot it one time at TBA, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do without a backpack at this conference? So I went to the mall in the Riverwalk Mall, and I was like, I gotta find a backpack, and I went to 3 or 4 different stores and couldn't find anything. Went to Hot Topic and found this corgi bag, so now it's my convention backpack.
That's funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Of course, it was at Hot Topic.
Yeah, of course. Hot Topics are not the same as they were when they
No.
first opened.
No,
Yeah. Alexa, do you have something you'd bring back?
besides like OG Hot Topic.
Yes. All right, you can say OG Hot Topic. I have something in mind that I would bring back.
You haven't asked me this question in a while. I'm unprepared. I'm so sorry. Besides Whale Wars.
Well, I
Uh,
would bring back old school arcades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have those kind
no,
of.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Like, you don't understand. Like, you never experienced Mortal Kombat.
I'm from the middle of nowhere, Jose.
Mortal Kombat at a movie theater where you'd have like coins.
How do you
lined
know
up.
I have the Hollywood movie theater used to have that?
No.
Okay.
No.
There you go, discounting my experiences again.
Like, I remember going to the Pizza Hut there and sitting, and like they had like 3 or 4 arcade games, and like Mortal Kombat being one. They had like a cage fighter game,
Nice.
and then like they had it wasn't Star Fox, but something Star
Okay,
Fox
so
adjacent.
you just like discredited all my experience, but you know where you used to have arcade games like that?
Where? Hastings? I miss
No,
Hastings.
not Hastings.
Hastings to bring back.
The OG Buzzard Billies.
Really?
Yes. Before it was on the river in Waco. The one downtown. I don't know what's there now. It's like a hotel or something. They tore the building down. It was like
I don't think there's anything there anymore.
well, I think there is something because it's like the Ninfa's Spice building, but on U Parks, like kind of like across from where that would be, was where Buzzard Billy's was.
I remember it being there in that location.
Yeah, and they had some arcade games in there, and we used to go to Buzzard Billy's. I would play the arcade games.
Oh,
What I would bring back is, I don't know if you ever did this, but in the Hilton in Waco, they used to have like a restaurant, and I guess they still do, but it's not the same. They used to have this at other restaurants too, but they had like the trivia game that would run the entire time you're sitting there, and they would give you like the little computer thing, and you would answer at your table, but it would be projected. I wish they still did that in restaurants.
I mean, that'd be fun. I like trivia stuff like that.
Yeah, you wonder why I'm
you-
such a nerd.
Yeah, you're really good at it.
So you guys will appreciate this because you're Waco people. One thing that we did when I was in Yoakum with Jennifer is anytime we go to a competition, we try and do something fun like main event or Incredible Pizza. So I was looking for something similar in Waco my first year, and I was like, all right, I got to find a pizza place with some arcade games. And I get on Google and I find this place that has pizza, and they said they have some games, some fun stuff to do. They said seating's kind of minimal though, and I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna go to Papa Rolo's for lunch. Like, is this like appropriate for children? Like, this is such like a sketch place, and I almost couldn't get the bus like in the parking lot and back out again. And the kids are like, "What is this?" It was my first contest to take them to ever, so they didn't really have that trust in place. They're like, "What are we doing, y'all?"
That's hilarious.
Are we being sold?
Jose got really mad at Paparolo's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, we ordered some pizza and the service was awful.
He waited in the drive-through line for like 40 minutes.
I was on the phone the whole entire time, and I called them, and
And then Jose got out of his car in the drive-through line and went outside.
I went into the restaurant.
Wow.
I left my car running, and
I want to speak to Papa Rolo, please.
Yeah. Who's Papa? And I'm gonna Rolo him. My goodness.
That's pretty much what happened.
Like, I was so mad.
Yep. I was really looking forward to that
I'm
pizza
sorry.
too.
I'm sorry to hear that.
How
Oh
was
my
your
goodness.
Paparolos experience once you got inside and parked the
You know,
bus?
it genuinely wasn't that bad. The food was like decent. They had enough like soda pop for it, but we had to sit in 2 different spaces because there's not enough room for, that many kids. But
Yeah.
it actually didn't turn out that bad. What I found out though is that the Mr. Gaddy's in Waco is takeout only. You can't go in and do the arcades.
Yeah.
So we're now Peter Piper people.
There is a main event in Waco.
Yeah, there is, but I don't know. I take the junior high kids there for their trip, so I think
There you
that they're
go.
a little burnt out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Meh. Meh. Do you have a bucket list piece that you would like to play?
Not necessarily. I have to like know my limitations a little bit with my groups. I do want to try a grade 5. The ones that I've been listening to are City Trees by Markowski, and then Ride. And I need to know, I guess I need to figure out what kind of the easier fives are. I'm not optimistic that it's ever going to happen, but I want to be able to like daydream about it. So
Oh my goodness. There's some good stuff out there, but I mean, you look at that grade 5 list, it's like, ooh, we have like
It
that's a
can
lot
be
of time.
daunting, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
it starts
it's
like
brutal.
you look at the scores and it's like you need like 3 flute parts and like specific double reed parts and color
Yeah,
saxophones and like you have
it
to have
calls
all
for
that.
it calls for second bassoon. I don't have a first bassoon, y'all. What are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you have anything that's in your ear this week?
We've been listening to How to Train Your Dragon because we're playing on the spring concert. So I have the kids play through it, and then I make them play through it first before we listen to it in
I
class
do
because I
too.
feel like if we play it for them, then they're just gonna try and do it by ear, and that's a no.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do the exact same thing.
Yeah. I've been listening. We discovered this group called the 8-Bit Big Band.
Yes,
Okay.
they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are cool.
We've been listening to them a lot.
I'm trying to get like the twins into it and they're not into it.
Not yet.
Oh.
I tried.
Not yet.
They just want to listen to Let It Go and what is the other one? Jonah's been asking for something specific. I don't remember what it is.
Well, he's asked for Wicked before.
No, that's not what it is though. I don't remember. I think it's something like Hot Wheels adjacent.
Yeah. Oh, Ratatouille theme.
Oh yeah, that's been a big one. Which this is something about kids that drives me wild. I love Ratatouille, and I've tried to watch Ratatouille with them before, and they're like, "Ugh, no." They watch it at school, and then they come home. They're like, "It's the best movie ever. Can you please play me the music from Ratatouille?" And I'm just like,
Yeah, I think it's about the experience.
"I guess so." I
And
guess
their
so.
friends, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their mom is not enough.
Nope. That's it.
You know, I handed out Wicked for spring concert music, and the kids were not into it. I was so bummed.
Oh, that is a bummer.
We got to go see Cynthia Erivo last week with the
Oh,
Houston Symphony, and it was sublime. She's
I'm
incredible.
sure she was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super jelly.
That's awesome.
Super jelly. So you've kind of already touched on this. What other things do you like to do outside of banding?
Yeah, like I said, we're travel people. I spend a lot of time doing that, and we just try and go see family when we can. I've got a brother and niece and nephew, and my parents are also in Oklahoma. Morgan's brother's in North Carolina, so we try and spend our time with family as best we can. We also enjoy board games. So we take our camper down to Rockport for the summer, and there are places, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you can take your camper down like to the beach and leave it for the whole summer, and like they will, you keep it locked up and everything, but you don't have to take it with you back and forth. So we take our camper down to Rockport, and we'll go down. My wife gets off on Fridays, so we leave on Thursday night and do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the beach. We just hang in the camper and do board games and like cook fresh food and then watch sunsets. Like we're pretty much retirees in the summertime. It's pretty sweet.
That is sweet.
Oh, Rockport.
That's your neck of the
Yeah,
woods.
that is definitely my neck of the woods.
Well, and I think that we were initially planning to do Port Aransas, but like if you want to pay twice as much and then have to fight the ferry, like the beach is just as good at Rockport.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up down there. I spent a lot of time on the beaches. It's fine.
I think Jose would rather take me on a trip to literally anywhere else before he would take
I'd
me to
rather
a
go
beach
Pigeon Forge.
in South Texas. It's not even like a it's not even like a beach thing. It's just like because he's from down there, he's like, well, you can't go to the beach here.
You're just over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's sand everywhere. Why is there still sand everywhere?
You know, speaking of Pigeon Forge, I talked to my mom and I was like, "Hey, do you want to go with us to New York and go watch me march in the Macy parade?" And she's like, "No, not really. Don't have any interest." All right. Hey, do you want to go to California and come watch me march the Rose Parade? No, I don't have any interest in that. I was like, "What do you want to do? Like, where do you want to go?" She's like, "I want to go to Branson." Branson. I was like, that's just like Pigeon Forge light. So we picked her up. We picked her up over spring break and we took my mom and my aunt to Branson and we had a blast. It's fun. We enjoyed ourselves up there.
I'm sure that was a great time because I would also love to go to Branson.
It's so wholesome.
Okay, were you inspired to say Pigeon Forge by my dad
No.
at Easter? Did you hear what he was saying?
No.
Oh, he was like on this rampage. I've asked your mom 10 times if she wants to go to Pigeon Forge. She keeps saying no. You didn't hear any of that?
No, I didn't hear any of that.
Well, I would also like to go to Pigeon Forge. I should have volunteered.
We ran into the Canyon Lake High School band
Oh.
at yeah, they were happened to be on the Branson Bell that day, so I got to say hi to
That's
Ed Gonzalez. It was
hilarious.
fun.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
I want to go.
Hey, so
It was fun. We had a good time.
I mean, that's a good trip. We've been on that trip before. It's a good trip.
I want to go again.
I mean, you can't really do the ducks anymore, from what I know.
Gosh, do you not know about that?
You know what the ducks
are? The duck, like that's what they're called.
Yeah,
they drive on the roads and then they go into the lake.
They're like bi-aquatic land.
They used to be army vehicles, but
like a duck boat.
Yes.
Okay, we did one of those in Alaska.
In Branson, like when was that? Like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
maybe
10 years ago.
They it sunk in the lake, in Table Rock Lake, and like people died, and it was like really bad. I know it was like really bad.
That's awful.
I know,
Yeah,
Jose. Gosh.
What did people died? The Titanic. They have a whole entire museum about it in Branson.
Yeah, they do.
They try to give us discount tickets.
No. Like, what do you like? That happens. Things happen.
I know, but it's so sad.
It is sad. People died.
Something I remember from our duck boat trip is we were in Alaska in Ketchikan, and you know when you're on the water, they have like a little porthole that you can open and stuff. I got like the best video in history of an eagle, and it was from my hand through the porthole, and it's like National Geographic quality. Like I didn't have any of the tools or anything. I was like, this is the best video I've ever taken, and I'm gonna be proud of this forever.
That's amazing.
So that's like my one takeaway from the duck boat trip. And you can hear my wife being such a nerd. She's like, "That's a juvenile." I'm like, "Stop it, y'all." My wife is she's a National Merit Scholar at from NEISD from San Antonio, and she went to Rice. Like, she's so smart, and I'm never gonna win any argument with her ever. I like seriously outkicked my coverage. It's bad.
That's funny.
You know, sometimes you get lucky, man. You just get lucky.
Well, and besides that, I also have wonderful in-laws because her parents met at band camp in Enid, Oklahoma, and they went to Southwestern Oklahoma State, the same place that I went to school. I don't know how I managed to find
That's crazy.
At like 500 miles away. They went to undergrad there. They went to pharmacy school there and everything. So they I had the best in-laws. I play with her parents on Tuesday nights, the Victoria Crossroads Community Band, and I see him every week because she plays clarinet and he plays trombone. And I always say, well, they play with me because they like me more than you. And she plays in the orchestra on Monday nights, and I play with the band on Tuesday nights.
What was it? Feisty
fiddler.
Feisty fiddler. That's right. Okay.
Oh, so how did she end up in orchestra and not band?
Well, she told her parents she wanted to play violin, and they wouldn't let her do it for the first 2 years because she had to I guess prove that she actually wanted to do it. And she came up in San Antonio in NEISD, and they actually had orchestra programs. And she said her senior year, there's like so many people who are all-state musicians that came out of that group, like all-state horn players, all-state flautists. Like some of the people who are in symphonies now. Like she was just in this stellar senior class of musicians, and she did the Rice Orchestra for like half the semester, but it was like 8 a.m. on a Saturday, so she dropped it.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Well, and Rice is well known for their orchestral program.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservatory.
So Jake, I hear that you have a wonderful singing voice and that you've been known to sing All Lang Syne every hour on the hour, specifically for Phi Mu Alpha events.
Oh Lord. Uh
Could you sing
yeah.
us a couple of verses?
Why are you always trying to get people to sing on this podcast? This podcast is called Band Gap, not Band Directors Sing.
I think I need a couple of cups of kindness yet before I'm willing to do that. Luckily, I've got the brewery down the road from me a couple miles.
You can take Zach Sims.
Yeah, I'll take him to not drink beer.
Yeah.
So when I do a little bit of deep diving, I actually do a little bit of deep
Who did
diving.
you get this information from?
People.
That's probably a Brett Batchelor thing, I would think.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, the only person I haven't really been able to deep dive on has been Kim.
Well, Kim told you it's because of loyalty.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, she like had everybody on lockdown.
Yep.
All right, Jake, I got some quick questions for you. Okay,
Alrighty.
some rapid fire.
Shoot. All right, I'm ready.
All right, cool. Oh, you know what? I got a good one. I'm gonna change it up. Okay, Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Oh, K-Dot all day.
Okay, favorite rom-com.
Does Love Actually count? That's
Yes.
a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com.
Is pineapple acceptable on pizza?
Yes.
Are tacos a sandwich?
No. Hot dogs, yes. Tacos, no.
Toilet paper over or under?
Under. I don't want to have like spiders hiding. You know, if the toilet paper's over top, they can be underneath it. Like, have you never heard of this or seen this? No, that's like one of my like base childhood fears is that the toilet paper is hanging over and the spider is crawled up.
Did you watch
and it's
Arachnophobia as a
disguised.
child?
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my god.
Same.
Which Twix do you prefer, the left or the right?
Left.
Sousa King or Fillmore?
I guess Sousa. Yeah.
Favorite stand tune?
The horse.
Yeah, what's your worst stand tune?
I'm going to throw it back a little bit. My first year to teach in Childress, it was like 15 years past its prime, but they insisted on playing Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
Oh, yes.
And
That's
I think that
Tuba
I think they still play it.
Yes.
And I'm not kidding.
All right. What's a word that you hate to hear?
Moist.
Who do you text the most?
My wife.
What do you have a favorite store?
HEB. Does that count?
No, that's solid.
We have one in Yoakum, so
That you
That's
don't need
Jose's
anything
favorite
else.
store too.
If you had a spy code name, what would it be?
Granger.
What
I
mov-
don't know.
You don't know.
Granger's a good answer.
Granger is a good one. What movie do you enjoy quoting the most?
I like Anchorman, but I think it's gone past due. I think it's Step Brothers.
Do you have a hidden talent?
Yeah, I can make a Nerf gun sound.
If someone played you in a movie, who would it be?
Jack Black, definitely.
Do you have a favorite percussion artist?
Artist or like composer or like somebody who actually plays?
It'd be any of them.
I really like Ivan Trevino, and I know Alexa knows this because I remember reaching out to her a few years ago about Electric Thoughts because she played it too.
That's a cool piece.
Shout out Ivan Trevino,
Yeah.
Victoria native Ivan.
Yes.
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have I told the story of him
I don't know. You may
here
have.
on the pod? So Ivan Trevino, he's Victoria native. Well, apparently he knows some of my family members.
Some of your cousins.
Yeah, some of my cousins, my distant cousins. And when I talked to him about it, he was like, "Oh, those guys, those were some dudes or some bad dudes." I don't. I was like,
I'll hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was just like, "Ooh, yeah, that sounds about right." Now the question is that everyone is waiting for, Jake, is there a Dairy Queen in your towns? I have to say,
There is No, it's true because I have 2 towns. Well, I really have 3 towns. So I live in Yoakum, and there is a Dairy Queen, and it is the best of the 3. So I'm blessed.
Oh.
There's none in Shiner, and there is one in Hallettsville, but it is not great.
Is there one in Washington, Oklahoma?
No, Dairy Queen's like not really a thing in Oklahoma. There's 5 or 6 of them total, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have a Blizzard order?
The Fluffernut Royal. That's been
Ooh.
my go-to lately. They put like marshmallow in it too. I have to get a mini though instead of a small because got to get myself fit for the parade.
Ready for the roast parade. So it's
Parade
banana, peanut butter, and marshmallow.
Yeah. Well, no, is it banana? I don't know what's in. I just know I like it.
Yeah, I might
peanut butter and
I
marshmallow.
need to check my insulin levels just off of.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, you like stuff like that.
I do. I like marshmallows. I
I'm
think that's what it is.
basic. I'm so basic when it comes to that.
Wait,
kind of
what
stuff.
is your Blizzard order, Heath?
Heath?
I'm normally a peanut butter person, but for some reason the Fluffernut's good.
I'm peanut butter is like to me.
I like peanut butter.
Meh.
I don't know if I was gonna get like a Blizzard. Like I would get a Reese's Blizzard, but I don't know. I would try the fluffy.
Well, it's just like I don't like peanut butter cookies.
I don't feel like that's because you don't like peanut butter though. You just don't like peanut butter cookies because you think that they're all dry.
Well, they are dry. They also taste like burnt peanuts.
Not all of them.
Well, how do you feel about like I don't know Butterfinger or Reese's like peanut butter candy?
I don't like Reese's Pieces.
I like Reese's Pieces a lot.
What's your rationale there?
What is it? Explain yourself.
Okay, the peanut butter situation in Reese's Pieces just upsets like my being. It makes me feel odd, and I want to say it's because, I don't know why I can't I don't
disrupts your chakras or what?
I think so. Yes, and I honestly think it's because of the fact of the shell that they have on the Reese's Pieces. That it's
the candy coating.
Yes, the candy. I think that's what messes with me.
I said yesterday, literally at Easter, my sister said something about chocolate, and she said, "Well, I got Reese's Pieces," and I said, "Those don't have any chocolate in them." And she looked at me like I was crazy.
They don't.
They don't have any chocolate in them.
No, like I like Reese's, the peanut butter cup.
Why are they called Reese's Pieces if they're just peanut butter?
I don't know.
Because Reese's have.
How does he feel about peanut butter M&Ms then?
Those are my favorite M&M. Peanut butter M&Ms. My favorite.
No, but how does Jose feel though?
How do you feel about them, Jose?
I think I've avoided them because.
Oh, we're gonna have to go buy some because they're by far the best.
Better.
Yes.
Like, is there chocolate involved?
They're M&Ms, so yes.
Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to go.
So Jake brings up a good point. How do you feel about Butterfinger?
I like Butterfinger. I mean, it's not my go-to.
I love Butterfingers.
I mean, I enjoy them. The substance is a little too sticky.
They get stuck on your teeth.
I know.
Johanna and I, one of the days we went down to the vending machine, I was like, I'm gonna get a Butterfinger. That's what I got. I love Butterfingers.
I feel like Butterfingers are just Chico sticks, though.
They are
chocolate. Yeah,
surely they are.
I would rather just get a Chico stick than that.
I was thinking about that. I'm glad you said that. I would like to get a Chico stick. I haven't seen one in a long time, but I would like to hunt one down.
You know what's a candy?
You can get a little bag of them at my local gas station. Yeah.
We need to go to the gas station, the snack station, if you
will. What is it? The Big Hunk?
That's like nougat, which I don't believe that nougat is.
What are your thoughts on Three Musketeers?
It doesn't move me.
That doesn't same. I have I have a whole soapbox that I could get on about this.
It's just like there's no substance.
I don't think there's any reason to have nougat be a star of anything.
It's filler.
Nougat should not be the main character.
Yeah,
it's an NPC at best.
Yeah.
NPC energy.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's just what's one that I don't feel like gets enough play nowadays?
Milky Ways.
Baby Ruths.
I love Baby Ruths. Baby Ruths are maybe better than Snickers.
Hey, Mounds or Almond Joy?
Almond Joy.
Yeah, Almond Joy.
Definitely.
Mount, if I can get Mexican candy.
I would still get a Mounds. Like, if you were like, you either get a Mounds or you get nothing. Like, give me the Mounds, but I don't know. I like both of them. I just prefer the one piece of almond that you get.
Yeah, like Michael Hamilton, our percussion director, doesn't like coconut, and I don't understand it.
I guess it's a texture thing for some people. I love coconut though.
I don't have very many texture issues.
Our son went through that coconut phase
Yes.
where he loved everything coconut.
Now I have a spice issue.
Yeah, we know. We don't need.
What's your spice issue?
I don't like hot food.
What?
I don't like hot food.
He doesn't like.
What
spicy
about
food.
what about tamales?
That's not like. Do you mean
Some of
the
them are
candy?
spicy. No.
No, like jalapeno tamale. Like, so at Sacred Heart we'd have a massive tamale fundraiser, and I kid you not, we do like 2,500 dozen to 3,000 dozen. So like literally 36,000 tamales. And my wife has had to be in charge of the whole thing the last 3 years. But you leave that day just smelling like tamales for like a day.
That's a Tuesday.
But there's jalapeno and there's pork, and then we also have like a Southwest bean and veggie. And I'm like, I like spicy food, but I'm like a white guy still, so I'm not super into spicy.
So if Jose was going to order a dozen from your fundraiser, he would order the pork. And he would, just because there's jalapeno in the name, he would disregard and look to the next thing.
I would travel very lightly as far as that. I just like, it's not my go-to.
If jalapeno is in the name of the item, he avoids it.
No, I do not.
Except there's 2 instances and they're both potato chips.
No, I do not avoid the slammers from HEB.
Okay, that's
Or
like on a
jalapeno
case by case
poppers.
basis, because if you taste it and it's too spicy, you won't eat it.
Yeah, I just don't want to pay for.
What about elote?
Elote's not spicy.
Well,
If you put some,
here's the thing. When is the last time you've eaten elote is not elote that I've made for you?
I've eaten it before.
I said recently.
Recently, I don't know.
Because I control the spice level.
Yeah, but like you can put chili powder on it, but it's not like that's not the same kind of heat.
Okay.
Chili powder heat is very different from like red pepper, which is very different from jalapeno. I react horribly to red pepper.
Like, okay.
Like red pepper gives me the hiccups faster than anything else.
That's some serious opinions happening right here.
Yeah.
Oh no! Like this is a real sensitive
This
subject.
is a pain point in our marriage.
Yes.
I should let you guys know that I was the most I was voted most outspoken of my class. So I'm firmly in the camp of like having strong opinions and holding to them.
That's how Jose is the same way.
Yeah.
Jose the other day, he was on the phone with me, had his AirPods in, but he walked into this place to get our propane filled, and they said they weren't doing it, and so I can hear the whole conversation. They were like, "We're not doing it today." He was like, "Oh, really? Because like the past few times I've been by, you've said the same thing." They're like, "Yeah, our system's down." He was like, "That seems to happen to you guys a lot. Don't appreciate it." He like left.
I love that.
He was like, "I'll just go somewhere else, thanks."
I'm just like here's the thing. We're in the business of like honestly customer service. So when the service isn't being provided as far as like education and experience or any of that kind of stuff, that bothers me. And then whenever you work into like that where you're providing a service and like there's not a sign that says we're not doing this right now, and I have to get out of my car and go hunt somebody down and do all that kind of other stuff, like that don't work for me.
So I was like that, but to the next level. Like when I was in school, I was uninvited from the National Honor Society because like I did not have any problem telling anyone anything at any time. So I mean, I was all state band, all state academic, and I was the newspaper editor. So like you'd think I'd be a good student, but my senior year, I can remember we were reading a short story in AP English Lit, and I got up in the middle of class and I was like, you know what? I got a newspaper to edit. Why don't you come find me ready to teach something of value? And I left and went.
Wow.
So I kind of earned not being invited back to NHS. I was a turd, but that again, most outspoken, and I'm like Jose. If it's not done a certain way, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I really need to take a page out of your books.
Like, it's just like, what was something I did? Oh, it's been like, okay, I'm so much worse when it comes to like food service because I'm a big back.
Yeah.
And so therefore, like, you don't mess with my food. You don't. That's why like the whole entire Papa Rolos thing, like I got heated. Like we went to Torchy's one time, and let's just put it this way: our meal was comped, and then I was comped extra on top of that.
It was like my friend was visiting from New York and like she really wanted to go to Torchy's, and so like we ordered drinks and I think like queso or something, and the drinks and like the queso came out after like our food was like gone. And
Oh.
so yeah, Jose threw a fit on that
Yeah,
one.
or like Pizza
And
Hut.
now I will say he's not, anytime he gets that upset, it's not undeserved. It's not like he's not a Karen, but
Isn't it a Ken for a man? It's a
Yeah,
Karen,
well,
yeah,
not a
or
Ken.
a,
like I,
or
I, I
a
pick my battles. I pick my battles. It's just like okay, well, like I remember one time I ordered Domino's pizza, and they were like, "It will be there in 35 minutes." Like,
Mm-mm.
hour and a half
Don't believe it.
later. Yeah, hour and a half later, and I had to get to my job there on. It was when I was over at Baylor. I had to get to my job, and the girl I was dating had to bring me like my lunch, and like she had something she had to do, and I made sure that we had free pizza for the next 2 or 3 visits.
dang. Can you do that again?
I was a delivery driver at Domino's throughout grad school, and I can tell you their little tracker is like nonsense. They like put the numbers in there, like, oh look, my pizza's on its way. Like, dude, no, it's in the oven.
Yeah.
Your pizza hasn't been
I
made yet.
I was robbed at gunpoint delivering pizzas for Domino's once. Yeah, so I don't want to bring the mood down, but it was really I walked in this apartment complex and like it was really kind of sketchy. It was at night, and I go upstairs, and the girl's like, "Oh well," and then her dog runs out, and I was like, "This is taking a really long time. This seems kind of suspicious." And I get out to my car, and 3 guys jump out. Give me everything you got. So I try and act like I played it cool, like, "Yo, here you go." And I was like, "Yeah." I just gave them everything from my wallet. So, I kind of look at other people who've had an easier time through undergrad and grad school to land on their jobs, and I kind of think about mine, and I'm very glad in a lot of ways that I had some adversity because it makes everything else that much sweeter. But yeah, I think if you have a service industry job during school, I think it makes you a better human being overall when it comes to relating to other people.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, I don't blow my lid like that, but just my ooh,
You just had to catch you at the wrong time
yeah,
or
it's
the right
just
time, depending on who you are.
yeah, it's just like don't offer me a service if you're not ready to provide that service.
Well, also, like, especially now, if you like, you're going out and like buying food, that's like a big commitment and like it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, especially for us, we have to find childcare.
yeah.
How often do we are able to get childcare? Never.
Yeah.
What
Well, you
happened?
know that DoorDash now lets you like block up your payments or block up your meal into different payments to cover the DoorDash fee. Like that's crazy to me. If you have to pay for your DoorDash in installments, you probably shouldn't be Door Dashing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that's all I have.
Oh, that's all I have to. Jake, do you have anything else?
No, I guess not. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. This has
Oh,
been
yeah.
fun.
Thanks for talking to us. Had a good time, learned a lot. Well, thanks for listening to Band Yap. We'll see you next time. Bye.
We out.